live on YouTube, and listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football podcast.
Good evening, everyone. It's Monday. It's almost 8 p.m. We are back for another Monday Night Live. This is the World of Football podcast. Like, share, subscribe, get in the comments. If you're on Spotify, I don't know how long this show is going to be, but all I say is buckle up. And we got a lot to get through this evening, even if it's only the international break. Tonight, I am joined with two titans of the YouTube world. I've got Mr. Cardiff City to my... I'm not sure which camera angle it is. I've got Nathan. How are you doing this evening, mate?
I am very well, thank you very much, Julio. And, of course, Wales last night, getting that result against Croatia. I was indeed there. Absolutely phenomenal scenes at the end. Harry Wilson is just different gravy, isn't he? Thanks for having me on, and let's go into it.
And then underneath, we got a very smug Scott because his country has qualified for a competition, beating the absolute titans of Cyprus to get there. We got Reece, Mr. Devil's Rising, Mr. Weekly Steel Chair. How are we doing this evening?
Don't forget, we also beat Spain right at the very beginning of this competition, and we beat Norway.
You did.
So we've done all that. Signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, Norway are below you, though, so it's not much of an achievement. But, you know, fair
Norway,
play. To each their own.
They're always going to be below us. It's exactly how it goes. But no, I'm good. I'm looking forward to this one. We've got a great show ahead, so let's see how we fare.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see the pair of you. I think, in fact, all three of us, I think, have had a good weekend. Especially for me and Reece for once. Well, I'll say that, but United still found a way to ruin our weekend. But we'll get into that very shortly. Right. Should we get on with the international roundup, gents?
Yes.
Let's go for it.
Okay, so let's start. We're going to go by this group by group. If you're familiar to us around here, welcome back. If you're new faces, welcome. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through everything, each group by group. I'm going to start with Senor Devil's Rising below me, because Group A see Scotland currently in second. Reece, talk me through Scotland.
We've had a very good qualifying tournament so far. We were unbeaten 5 games straight. If we had won last week, we would have qualified ahead of Portugal. We would have been the first team to physically qualify. Unlike the Germans, of course, as hosts, obviously they qualify naturally as hosts. We would have been there. We didn't. We had a difficult game against Spain where Spain dominated the possession, to be fair, but they didn't do anything, which is typical Spain. Gets to a very controversial moment where we think in Spain it's actually Scotland is taking the lead from what's a shot corner, an absolute amazing free kick from Scott McTominay, which I never thought I would say in my life. Like, that was genuinely, that was clutch. That was clutch moment. Like, that was actual perfect delivery. And then all of a sudden it gets ruled out by VAR. There's a few issues I have with that, which we're going to come on to tonight when we get to Ref Watch. So I'm not going to go to Ref Watch right now. But it was a bit deflating when after that, because we've been so motivated and we were generally so fired on, we were a better team. The sucker punch from Morata, the goal, and then the fact is, we had chances to get back into it as well, to get a draw. And the worst thing as well is when Ryan Porteous puts the ball in the back of his own net, which really killed us off. It's our first defeat of the qualification group, which, if you're a Scotland fan, you would have thought we would have lost ages ago. The fact that we went 5 games unbeaten as well was impressive, and a good defensive record, but also scoring goals. It's the only goal. It's the only game in the group stage thus far that we haven't actually scored a goal as well. So that's another thing that we deserve massive credit for. But the reflection for us is we qualified without having to play a single game because Norway lost to Spain on Sunday. We didn't have to play. So we've already got France coming up in a friendly, which no idea why, but hey ho. But that game doesn't even matter to me. I couldn't care less. Like, the one that mattered was the one on Sunday. Yeah, we lost to Spain, but controversially, but we still move on. We're still second. It's crazy that we were leading the group for so long. This is a very good group of players playing some very expansive attacking football from a manager who isn't known for it. He's more reserved, compact, and defensive minded. He's made us more attack threat, but still organised defensively. That's what you want. But we generally look like we can. This is not a dig on any international team, but when you watch us play, we could generally look like we can beat anyone, and obviously we can be beaten by anyone as well. So like, there's the humble side of it. But you put us up against a Brazil, an Argentina. You put us up against a Germany, a France, Holland, even England. Were like, after eventually, like, it took England quite a while to finally convert chances to score to beat us. We could lose those games, but we could also win as well. Like, it's not just saying, oh, it's a cliche of like any game you can win, but we look like we can beat anyone. Like, that's so much that humility between the squad, but also that togetherness. Like, this is a team that will play for each other, fight for each other, win, lose, or draw. And I think that's a big reflection about our qualification group, that the expected teams to go through from the very beginning was Spain to win the group and Norway because they've got Odegaard and Haaland. They haven't turned up this entire tournament, whereas we have. That's the difference. Like, that's a massive difference. So we're off to Germany.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it's really good to see the Scots march to Germany. I think it's really good. I think the issue, obviously, is over the years, Scotland have managed to set themselves such low standards from their failings that, you know, in the end, obviously, when they do reach a tournament, it seems like the greatest achievement ever, when it shouldn't be. Scotland should always be going to the Euros. And because I think that even though at the last tournament we saw Scotland and England play at Wembley in a 0-0 draw, that was a 0-0 draw more about England as opposed to Scotland. Even though we saw the same fixture a couple of weeks ago end in an England win, I think at a tournament, whether it's I don't know, if it's at an arena where there's a lot of noise to be made, it can be made. I think that, you know, you look at it, we could be in for a good game. I've been really impressed. I mean, when Steve Clarke got the job, I thought he was the right appointment personally for where you guys were at. And I think what he's done, he's taken this team from strength to strength.
Yeah.
So I think, even though obviously I started the show with obviously like you're beating Georgia, Cyprus, and Norway to the second spot, which isn't much, you could have easily messed that up.
No, we could have done. I agree.
You know what I mean? A classic Scotland move would have been to somehow mess it up somewhere. But credit where credit's due, and we look forward to seeing your miserable mob in Germany next year. Anyway, good evening.
I don't think anyone can suppress a Monday.
Yeah, it's Mondays. Mondays. Right, moving on. Group B. I'll come to you with this, Nathan. Group B, we've got France on top with 18 points, 6 games, 6 wins, as we'd expect. You've got Greece in second with 12 points. The Netherlands are in third with 9 points. Netherlands have a game in hand.
They do.
What are we looking at there? Are we seeing the Netherlands make a late surge, or are Greece just going to hold off? Because they've got similar records in form. They've Netherlands have 3 games to play. Greece only have 2. Netherlands win their game in hand, depending on how much by, because Greece have a better goal difference. What are we seeing? Are we going to see Netherlands miss out on yet another tournament?
I see
We very
controversy
well
coming.
we very well could see it at the moment. However, looking at what remaining games that the Netherlands have, bearing in mind that as we're recording this right now on Monday night, they are currently playing Greece at the moment.
Yeah, they
And we're
are.
looking about 24, 25 minutes in. Been rather neck and neck, but as we would expect, the Netherlands are dominating the ball. However, what we've seen with this side, they have been controlling it too much and not really getting those chances in defensively, as you'd expect with the quality that they have at the back. Absolutely solid. Just looking at it now, with the back, the back four of Hartman, Ake, Van Dijk, and also Gertrudia as well. Looking at the bench, Van der Ven, De Vrij, loads of great players there as well, defensively minded. Daley Blind, who's got a load of caps as well. Weghorst is starting up top today. But it's a tricky one because I think that whatever result that they get out of it, and bearing in mind, Greece getting a point or even all 3 would be an absolutely terrible night for the Dutch in particular. But the fact is that they still got Gibraltar to come on the very last game and also an Ireland team as well. And we'll get on to Ireland in a minute because Mr. Russell right below me has something to point out that was revealed in the media today, which I kind of find is absolutely astonishing.
And they're winning right now as well. Ireland, they're winning 1-0. Yep, there's some good results.
It is against Gibraltar, so that's probably kind of
There is some good results already. Austria won 1-0 today. Sweden are beating Belgium 1-0. 2-0
ridiculous result.
Yep. And Portugal are 2-0 up against Bosnia. Ronaldo scored twice and returned to the squad. They've yet to concede a goal in this tournament. Qualification tournament.
Impressive.
Yep. They've yet to concede. It's mental.
I think I've always been of the impression that how you are in qualifying doesn't justify how good you actually are. We've seen England max out 10 wins from 10 in qualifying before and go to a tournament and, barely get out of the group stage and get knocked out by Iceland. So, but do you know, that's England for you. England have a habit of doing stuff like that. Well, Reece, I'll come to you now on Ireland whilst we're here because coming into this morning, for example, the talk was Stephen Kenny has to go. It's not looking good. A terrible, terrible campaign. Now you're telling me there's some Irish luck in there somewhere. What's this pot of gold?
Yeah, it's a strange one, right? Where Ireland can qualify for the Euros if they actually lose to the Netherlands. So Ireland can lose to Holland. I think Holland need to finish second. But Ireland, if they were to win the remaining games plus lose to Holland, they qualify as potentially one of the best 4th place teams for the playoffs. So they could finish in the playoff spot by losing 1 game when they've got 3 games to play, as long as they win the remaining 2. And they don't have France. They don't have after that. They don't have Holland to play after obviously with the loss. Their run to the end is actually very comfortable. Beating Gibraltar will certainly help that, but it is crazy. It definitely reflects Ireland that they've got this lucky loophole. But if the opportunity's there, fucking take it if they can. But they definitely need to get rid of Stephen Kenny. I don't think he's that good at all.
The thing for me as well,
with
Ireland as well, I will say is with the amount of great young players that they've got coming through, and give it about a tournament or 2, they will be up there within these groups. If they want to do it, it is an Irish golden generation for me.
It is.
If they want to do it properly, Stephen Kenny is not the man to do it. I mean, ultimately, he hasn't even had a steady rise in the job. He started off absolutely atrociously. And in fact, I'm even surprised that he's lasted as long as he had. But ultimately, if they want to embed it through, he's not the man to do it. His managerial pedigree doesn't say it. So get rid of ASAP.
That's 3-0 Portugal. Bruno Fernandes has just scored. What on earth? I think we need to ask a serious question. How the hell is Roberto Martinez cooking with Portugal? Like, how? Like, there's something seriously wrong there. Like, how can he cook with Portugal and he's playing a 4-4-1-1? Leao's playing as a centre forward behind Ronaldo. What is this?
Tactical insanity.
Tactical insanity or pure genius, I don't know. I mean, Martinez has made Everton compete in his first year there, didn't he? They finished 5th, I think it was.
And then he went to shit after that.
Exactly. Exactly. So Martinez made Belgium look good. They were number 1 for years, but then they went to actual tournaments and they reached the semis and lost to the eventual winners of the World Cup in 2018. And then they've just not been as good since. So it embeds in well with my point of, qualifying. You can be so good in qualifying, but I think that when it comes to the actual tournament, I mean, if Martinez proves us wrong, then fair play. I think the problem, in fact, Martinez has come into the Portugal Martinez has come into is similar to the Belgian Martinez came into, where I mean, in the sense of there was this golden generation of Belgian players at the time, similar to what we've got with Portuguese players now. The problem under Mark Wilmot was that they weren't a team; they looked a lot like individuals.
Said that a lot on here. Said that a lot of times.
Martinez coming into this Portugal side, who in the last few tournaments have just looked like individuals in some aspects from what I've seen of them, whether it be just Ronaldo coming in clutch or the players individually having so much quality, but they don't make the best decision almost. So
yeah, absolutely.
And considering Santos has left Portugal, gone to Poland, and subsequently done very well with Poland, at least I'll say from my point of view. Sarcastically, really, he's not done well at all. The fact of the matter is, Martinez is cooking now, but I think he's been in the job. How long has he been in the job? I think 3 international breaks, 4.
3.
So it'll be interesting to see only time will tell. Only time will tell how good they will actually be and whether they can actually win the big prizes. Because their Euro win, Reece, I'll come to you in a moment. Their Euro win was based on it. They didn't have the best players, but they worked as a team. You wanted to jump in there, Reece?
I was just saying, like, the difference between most teams in qualifying is they play tournament football. This is what like Germany were renowned for so long. They need to get back to that. France play tournament football. Portugal play tournament football. So what you see in qualifying is exactly what you're going to see at the main tournament. Croatia don't play tournament football. In qualifying, they play expansive attacking football. Like, it's almost as if it's like completely different. Then when it gets to the tournament, they play totally different. Like, they're very different side. The ones that are consistent are the ones that win trophies, like Germany, France, Italy. How they play in qualifying is exactly what you see at the main tournament. The difference is, though, is the personnel is either in form or they're better quality options. They've been purposely weighted for the tournament. That's the difference. What you see from England, for example, in a qualifying stage is just blitz, 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 blitz. Very rarely they get tested. You get to an international tournament, they've got a great squad. They play really good football, and they do. But then they get 1 or 2 tests, and they fall flat. You maintain that consistency week in, week out. I cannot stand Gareth Southgate for the life of me, but he plays tournament football. That's the weird thing. Gareth Southgate actually plays tournament football, but he's playing tournament football with the players that he should not be picking. He's picking the wrong players for the tournament when he's actually picking the right ones for qualifying. So he always goes like role reverse, where you should be picking players that are accustomed to it in their best position instead of wasting them out of position. Like in qualifying, I would not pick Harry Kane. When it comes to playing a tournament, like if I was the England manager, for example, these are the players I am not picking for qualifying. I'm not picking Pickford. I'm not picking Kyle Walker. I'm not picking Kieran Trippier. I'm not picking Harry Maguire. I'm not picking Luke Shaw. I'm not picking Declan Rice. I'm not picking Bukayo Saka. I'm not picking Phil Foden. And I'm not picking Harry Kane. I'm picking Trent Alexander-Arnold because he's shit. I'm putting Pope in goal. I'm using the likes of Mark Guay and Kyle Tomori to give him a chance to settle. I'm picking the likes of Ben Chilwell, Ollie Watkins up front. I would say Calvin Phillips for either tournament or qualifications. So Calvin Phillips is a mix of both. But I'm picking Ward-Prowse. I'm picking Jack Grealish because he can do tournament football qualifying, but I think you're better using him in qualifying because I would use Phil Foden ahead of him personally or Raheem Sterling consistently for tournament football. And then I'm using Jared Bowen. Use what's available to you in the smartest concepts. You don't need Harry Kane for every qualifying tournament. You don't need Phil Foden for every qualification game. You can use them for the big tournaments because you're going to get there anyway. So use your best players where you can let them just focus on their campaigns. Boom, you get to the tournament. They know they're coming in because they've had great seasons, but also it's hard to prepare when they've not been in qualifying for so long. You can purposely keep them out and distract you. That's why Spain are a totally different animal. When they get to international tournament, they just pick sporadic and they change it. Italy done the same thing. The likes of Bonaventura, who scored against Malta, he ain't going to be at the main tournament. Immobile is going to be at the main tournament. It's all about using what's there and you change things and you make it smart and clever. So, like, the players that Germany have used in the friendly so far, like, one's against USA, the one it's going to be against Mexico in a couple of days' time. It's going to be completely different. It's all about being smart with what's available to you. France will be the exact same under Deschamps. Martinez can do that in Portugal, playing tournament football. You've got something good there. Genuinely got something good there. Deception is a good thing for a manager, especially when it comes to qualifying. Yeah, Bellingham's amazing. Bellingham's amazing, but he's another one. You don't need him qualifying. He's a main tournament guy.
Do you know what the issue is? The issue we always have going in. I mean, obviously, we haven't mentioned we're coming to England, but I think they're actually next on the list in terms of groups, so that leads nicely in. But I think the issue we've got with Southgate, when he goes into tournaments, whenever someone asks him, "Well, why didn't you pick him?" or "Why didn't you pick him?" he always goes, "Well, I don't really know him that well. I haven't used him enough, so I don't trust him." But that's what qualifying is for. Mm-hmm. Like, no disrespect, but you don't need to play Harry Kane against, like,
Latvia to stat pad.
Exactly. I mean, the issue England have had, England have always had going into tournaments is they haven't had enough tests going into tournaments. The friendlies they played, I remember when England beat Germany in 2016, a lot of the Germany first, like the big names of Germany at the time, a lot of them weren't playing in that game. So even though England went 2-0 down and came back to win 3-2, it was great seeing Kane and Vardy team up and put some goals in.
But to Germany,
but it wasn't a full-strength Germany team. England got knocked out to Iceland.
There's no point in it. That's the problem.
Exactly. And Germany went to the semis and lost to France.
Just lost to France, yeah. Narrow lost to France.
The fact of the matter is that
that's
picking
the difference.
Players, qualifying against even just friendlies against these teams that you should be beating, which, in fairness, Southgate has gotten us to qualify to semi-finals and finals based off of teams that we should have beaten.
Mm-hmm.
England have set themselves a low standard beforehand because we keep messing up somewhere to the point where we are now going to. Because listen, Southgate's done a decent job in terms of improving England in the sense of we're going further in tournaments where there's a togetherness about the squad sometimes, which is good. There aren't these little cliques and stuff. However, you should be beating these teams. I'm not going to reward you for mediocrity. You've made poor decisions. You've shown in 3 tournaments now, in the games that you've lost or got knocked out or whatever, you haven't got the balls to make an important decision somewhere. You bring Rashford on against France far too late, for example. You bring you try and park the bus for 88 minutes in the Euro final. You do the same against Croatia in the World Cup semi-final. there's a common trend here with Southgate.
People
Southgate's good.
were saying that Euros as well, that Spain were the best team in the Euros. I'm like, what the fuck are you smoking? The best team in the tournament. The best team in the tournament was definitely the Italians. I mean, you don't come into a tournament and go 36 games unbeaten if you're not the best team in the tournament.
It's always a team that's on a run before the tournament that wins. We saw it with Argentina. We saw it with Italy in the Euros.
Germany wasn't. 2014, Germany weren't on a particularly amazing winning run. They were a mixture of wins and draws. They were just coming in like
unbeaten,
we're ready to go.
I just meant like an unbeaten run of some kind.
They weren't on that monster run. Like the monster run was Italy. Like that was a monster.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, qualifying is for. I mean, England haven't really had much to talk about over the weekend. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
So all I'll come to you guys with regarding Group C, England are on 13 points. Italy and Ukraine are tied on 10.
Mm-hmm.
Macedonia on 7. Malta on 0. Maybe too little, too late for North Macedonia.
Definitely.
Italy and Ukraine potentially bowing out for that second spot.
I think you're going to see a massive shock, and I think you're going to see Italy take top spot. Italy are coming in like extreme confidence under Spalletti since he took the job. They got the draw against North Macedonia, and they've won ever since. And he's actually proven his point when he says, I'm picking players who actually fit what I want to play. We're going to play this way. If we need to play with a 10 for more creativity, we're going to play with a 10 and you're going to see it. If we're going to play where we want to dominate the ball, we're going to play with 2 8s. You see the complete difference with Spalletti's choice compared to Mancini, where it was the same system, but it was different tweaks. Spalletti's coming out and going, X, Y, Z. No, we're going A, B, C, and this is how it's going to show. It's massive. England, obviously, I've just gave them a crazy amount of praise about what they can do about qualifying. The fact of the matter is this: so this is a Italy team in confidence under a new manager, where they've got a new lease of life, and the game's in. I'm pretty
fresh
sure
ideas.
And I'm pretty sure the game's going to be in Italy. It's not at Wembley. I'm pretty sure. So there's a massive confidence. But even if it is at Wembley, I still think Italy could nick it or they could get a draw. Ukraine are not going ahead. There's no way Italy are finishing below Ukraine. The top 2 is going to be England, Italy. But I think it will be Italy, England.
I think it's actually at Wembley.
If it's at Wembley, then I think it might be a draw. But we've got a very good game coming from that. I think Ukraine will get playoffs though.
Also, lovely little score update here. Your favourite striker of all time.
I mean, it's in the intro for a reason, Reece.
Nothing to do with me.
So when are you going to invest in one of his shirts, Reece? It's about time. Come on.
Never. Never going to happen. He's still a waste of space.
Fair enough. I mean, why don't you just... Okay, if you're just going to keep playing this game, Reece, then I'm not going to say anything.
He ain't good enough.
Okay.
He's never been good enough either.
Okay. Moving swiftly on. Nathan, stage is yours. I mean, none of us saw that happening. Rob Page finally gets a win. Almost, it just seems like eternity since he got a win, you know, with his endless like L's, from silly defeats to silly squad selection to picking players that he can't play, or 4 goalkeepers, and out of nowhere he comes up with a bit of a shock almost.
Yeah,
and
for
now
me,
suddenly they're in second. Suddenly they're in second. How
exactly? It's like we just turned it round very, very quickly. I mean, rising straight from 4th, rocketing up the group. I mean, Group D has sort of been a group of death, minus obviously Turkey, who've basically qualified themselves for the tournament now. Mind it is still open between us, Croatia, and even you could drag Armenia into it, going into second place, which
all to play for. It's still all to play for,
which is ridiculous to say as well. But I think that the way we have set up was absolutely fantastic. Made the adjustments that have been completely ruining us the last couple of games, in particular that Armenia away trip, and building on from that Latvia results as well that we got away. Wasn't the cleanest of performances, but boy did we perfect it. Jordan James 19 years old, has come into that midfield absolutely spectacularly, really built that partnership with Ethan Ampadu, and then that back five is working extremely well as well. And we're making the most of it, considering Brennan Johnson, he was unavailable for selection. Aaron Ramsey's obviously out injured, and he's going to be out for the rest of the qualifiers as well. So we've really made the most of it. And I think that the changes he's made tactically as well, higher tempo, more chances going into the box, not just playing it around and sitting back like he's been doing for ages, trying to play the, as I like to say, Russell Martin-esque 1,000,000% possession and getting absolutely nowhere with it and not being able to defend. He's properly turned it round in that aspect. But I think as Wales fans, we really do need to keep a lid on it. I mean, at the end of the day, as we've seen over the last 10 years, the Cardiff City Stadium has been an absolute fortress where it's just impossible for away teams to win there. And this is another reason that we demonstrated it as well, in particular for a team that was World Cup finalists a few years ago. That's what you got to remember as well. Modric, even though he is a lot older now, still playing in that squad. Still some very, very good players in there, but yeah, the performance was absolutely fantastic. Going 2-0 ahead, Harry Wilson was just on another level last night. And onwards and upwards from here. If we win our 2 matches, then we automatically go into Germany next year, automatically. But even if we do slip up a little bit, we're pretty much guaranteed in the playoffs now. And we should have 2 all right games that will get us to Germany. But I will still stand by it, by me saying we need to keep a lid on it. I do think that if Rob Page doesn't qualify for this tournament, then I do end up thinking that he will get sacked. And in my opinion, I think we should as well, considering as a whole the way this tournament has gone, even though it does seem like we have pushed ahead a lot better towards the end. But we just got to look at it that way. And is it a blip? Who knows? Maybe it could have been, but maybe he's learned his lesson. Maybe we've got everything to click now. And we just got to push from here. Transition, as people were saying, oh, I don't mind not getting to a tournament after qualifying for the last 2. No, you got to look at it in perspective. At the end of the day, yes, we have got the major players, like your Gareth Bales, your Aaron Ramsey, who's being phased out now. Joe Allen's all retiring. But look at it this way. We have proven that we don't need those players to grind out results. And at the same time, yes, it is still a transition period away from these big players, but is it really that big of a transition? I don't think it is for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been of the impression that sometimes it's never as bad as you think it is.
Yeah.
I think personally for me, Rob Page just buys himself a little more time here. I think him leaving is inevitable, as is with any manager, but I think in terms of the short term, it is. I think if he'd lost yesterday, I think it would have gotten just worse for him. I think if you don't qualify...
For me, Julio, if he would have got a draw out of Latvia and bottled it and then lost convincingly last night, I do think the FAW, bearing in mind, the FAW don't really sack managers at all. So I do think their hand would have been forced last night and they would have pushed the panic button and completely changed course on it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, both of you know my stance on Rob Page, whereas I've always been like, how do you get sacked at Northampton Town one moment after, I think, a 5-0 defeat in 6 months into the job, find yourself in the Wales setup, and then suddenly you've got the big gig in Wales almost. And it's just... That's the thing. In any other job, you wouldn't get that. Do you know what I mean? It's almost exactly. How do you fall down a few stairs and suddenly you end up at the top of at the top of the castle? Do you know what I mean? It is that kind of. But I think that if you qualify, I think it's a great achievement considering what you've had. I worry for you that it's too little, too late. If you go to Germany, great. Fantastic. I might be out there. I might see you out there. Who knows? But I think that regardless of what happens in that tournament, something will happen in that tournament where I think it will be his last.
I think so as well.
I don't think he survives after the tournament.
I agree. And in particular, if we do get there as well, and it's very similar to the way that we did end up at the 2022 World Cup, I think that will be the final straw for him as well. Because unlike, and I've got to bring the comparison in, unlike Chris Coleman and also the way that we played in also the 2020 Euros, it was the first World Cup since '58. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a great but disappointing achievement for Wales. But the way that and the manner that we turned up at the tournament, just saying, "Oh, we're happy to be there," is not what should be expected of you, and also not what we have seen within the last two tournaments that we qualified for as well. Really, really disappointing. And if we go in that mindset and get absolutely slaughtered and only score, what was it, one goal in the tournament, then for me, that's unacceptable. Just like in particular with the squad that we have, comparing to the likes of Turkey, Armenia, and what you could say with some aspects of that Croatia team as well, then I do think that is really disappointing and questions have to be asked on it. But at the end of the day, great result last night. We really need to push on from here. If we win the two games, then that's fantastic. We're at the Euros, and that was the target, no matter what, for Rob Page, and you've got to praise him for that. But at the end of the day, if we don't win those two games, then into the playoffs, and we have to win them to get to Germany.
I think that's a similar approach to what we had as well when we were at the Euros as well. It's like we were kind of like, because it'd been the first tournament since '98. I felt like we were just happy to be there. I think we've realised, we can't. If that's what we're going to, then we're going to get what we got. I think that's what we're going to see when we go to Germany. It's like we're not just going to be happy to be there. We got there on merit, so let's show it. I completely agree with your comment about like Rob Page and all that. When he said that, I was like, that just sums up that you shouldn't be happy to get to a tournament. You should be happy to fucking win something.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing as well, I find that there is split opinion on it, is also the expectations of the Welsh national team. Because I think it's sort of split in between three people. Obviously, the diehard Wales fans who have had all the hurt over the years, the dark Millennium Stadium days, the bottlings in the 90s and the early 2000s as well. And then you've got the other side of it, who mainly came into it with the 2016 qualification and then sort of see, oh, we're Wales, we have to qualify for every single tournament. I think you've got to sort of be in the middle of it and approach it as how we've got. And I think that I do lean towards that with the squad we have compared to the group. Because for me, it comes down to what group we're in. I mean, if we were in a group of death, say Italy, Germany, all of that, then I'd say, okay, let's just give it a good go. But at the end of the day, with the teams that we're in, we should be fully expected to qualify. And that's not me being arrogant or anything. That's me taking it from the perspective. And
yeah, you look at that squad, you call it for what it is. I think expectation comes down to two things. One of which being the squad you have, and the other being the manager you have. And I think that maybe we discussed it last week, and then the last international break, and then other shows we've done together, where we have debated who should take the role. Potentially another manager gets more out of this team, more out of this group of players. The bottom line is the win last night doesn't paper over the cracks. Do you know what I mean? The problems are still there. Maybe not as much in the sense of
there's less of an issue with like Scotland, for example. If Scotland lose a game, there's no panic. Now, like there's no compared to what like 5-6 years ago there was panic. We don't have that. It feels like it's totally different. It feels like it's roles reversed, where 5, 6, 7 years ago Wales were the second best international side out of the home nations. Right now, it's easily Scotland.
It is easily Scotland,
and it's not hard to miss. Like, and we've got. I think the one thing as well as a major reflection is we've got players playing at the top level in England, France, Germany, a few players in Spain, and we've got a few players in Italy as well. Wales are Championship, a few in the Premier League, and I feel like that's where you're losing a lot. Yeah, I think you're losing that a lot. I think you're losing that a little bit. Like Ireland as well, Republic of Ireland, like not part of the whole nation, but we might.
Ireland are about to have the golden generation, as I've mentioned a few times on this show, and in particular tonight already as well.
We might end up getting a unionised Ireland where they've got the North and the Republic as one giant nation. So much more opportunity for players to come in where they can have a fantastic side, where they'll really contest the whole nations for overall quality. It makes it fun. think one thing that's really important is about who you can get in. We've still got a chance of getting Harvey Barnes into our side as well. So there's another strong option for us if we can land Harvey Barnes.
I think that would be really good. It adds more. He doesn't look anywhere near
I
the
think
England
that
team at
takes
the
you to the
minute.
next level as well. In
Especially
particular with him on the wing.
I was going to say wing or 10 role. We've got other options as well. That would be great for us, where that's somebody who's now playing for one of the most in-demand attacking teams in football right now in terms of Newcastle, where they're actually contributing. He is a part of that. If we were to land him, that gives us an extra dimension. Whereas when you look at Wales and you're going, what's next? Because you can't expect Harry Wilson to become a immense overnight, but he's still a decisive player. I think these are just missing a few things, but you've got something. If you can just
need to set it up correctly.
Yeah. I
You
think
know,
the
you've
one
got
that
Kiefer Moore up there, Brennan Johnson. You've got some attacking outlet. I will give it to you. The issue is that Rob Page has found hilarious ways to set it up in the wrong way. So
I think all they need, theoretically, first of all, get him out of centre back. Put Ethan and Padu and hold him in field role so he can actually dictate passing across the.
He has
across
done
the
that.
field.
It's a bit weird because with the way he's setting up, he's got the back three, obviously in Davis, Metham, and Rodon, obviously when Metham is fit.
Absolutely.
And then he'll play Jordan James of Birmingham City, who is only 19, and then Ethan Ampadu. So already that is very defensive.
Yeah.
With Connor Roberts, who is...
Yeah, put one of them into midfield. If he's still insisting on playing a 5 at the back, he can still technically do that, but make it more aggressive and attack-minded. Switch. I mean, we're thriving right now in a 3-4-3.
Yeah.
It works for you guys because you've got some very good wingers. Brennan Johnson can play as a winger. Even though I can't stand him, you still got an outlet in Dan James.
Dan James always seems to turn up in a Wales shirt. And in particular as well, he finds his end product. Like, he was putting in some lovely balls last night. And even against Latvia, he was brilliant as well.
He does that. I'll give him that. He does that well. You've got an outlet there as well. So you've got him. You've got Wilson. And Padu, if anything, find a good box-to-box player. Put Padu in that holding role in the midfield with a box-to-box player and just let Ethan and Padu just fucking spray passes because he's a good passer of a ball.
He is.
And then you've got the front three of, well, I don't know, maybe Wilson, Moore, James, or
Brooks as well.
Yeah, or if he ever gets back in the fucking team, Matondo, because he's an absolute pace merchant. Like, you've got some good options if you find that. I think the system that works for us would work for you.
To be fair, I don't know what, because I've already highlighted it as well many a time. And this is probably the reason with Rabbi Matondo. Rob Page has his favourites.
Yeah.
Which could be the reason why he isn't getting into the Wales side. Like, I think the last time he was in the Wales squad was about 3 or 4 years ago now.
It's a shame because
if I'm correct on that.
The experience he's got is brilliant. It would work really well coming to your team. And he's playing at, like, even though it's Scottish football, he's playing at a higher level in terms of Europe as well. He's still doing that. So I'm like, he would fit your team really well. And he's becoming decisive in front of goal. I'm like, that's exactly what you need. Like, look at yourself in a 3-4-3 where you're organised defensively, but you're actually pressing teams. That's exactly what we do. We press the ball really well, but we also create chances by playing the ball quickly. Steve Clark at times used to have his favourites. Now he's just deciding, fuck this, we're a team. You get in on merit, you work hard, you get a performance. It says a lot that Billy Gilmore at times very rarely got a sniff. Like, at times, even though...
Which is incredible for the amount of hype that he had at Chelsea as well.
But now he's settled. And I'm like, Lewis Ferguson is doing great over in Italy. He's finally back in the squad. Like, McGinn, McTominay thriving. Che Adams at times. We've got, like, Shanklin to come back into the team. Like, Nisbet's injured, thank God. Lyndon Dykes. Like, there's options there. Like, defence is settled. Like, McKenna's back in the team. He was great, even though he's been injured for Forest. Like, he comes into the team really well. A settled goalkeeper in Angus Gunn. Great wing backs that can move into a wide midfield role that we can use them for. Like, we are settled. If you can find that in your team, you've got something, and we can see it because we've seen it before. And there's a good dynamic.
I completely agree with that. And I think, in particular for the next two tournaments, the one position that does worry me is the keeper.
Yeah, because you've
got Hennessy, Hennessy is getting on like mad. Danny Ward, who was phenomenal last night, I will say, and it always seems to deliver in a Wales shirt. He's also another one that's getting on. And aside from that, I don't actually see who's coming through.
But
Oh,
that's
no.
the difference for you guys, is you don't know, whereas I can name 3 or 4 Scotland goalkeepers that are coming through that have completely outed the likes of Craig Gordon and all that out of the team. Like McLaughlin, Gordon are all gone. Now you've got Angus Gunn, you've got Robbie McCrory, you've got Liam Kelly. Like, that's 3 good players, like 3 good goalkeepers as well that have got experience. If you can find that, you've got something. Because I'm confident in our goalkeepers now. I don't need a David Marshall or a McGregor or a McLaughlin or a Craig Gordon anymore. They can come on for the
Cardiff
right.
City legends that you just named there as well, I gotta say.
But to be fair,
we always produce the best Scottish keepers.
Alan McGregor was fine on his own. He produced himself. But that's the thing, is like, you have that strength. If you can find that, then you've got something.
You just need the right coach for the right setup for Wales, and I think you'd be fine. It's not as
it's getting players into the bigger and better clubs, or the better clubs in the leagues. They try and get Welsh players into like it was crazy when Lewis Ferguson went from Aberdeen's midfield to Bologna, or Aaron Hickey went to Italy, and now he's playing for Brentford. I'm like, exploit international systems by getting players out there. If Wales can get some good players playing in like European football, you've got something. I used to moan about Ryan Gauld not getting back in the Scotland squad. Not bothered now. I still like Ryan Gauld, but there's other players that are playing top level football, and I'm like, they've went for it. He's out playing them. He's out in MLS. He can enjoy his best life. I've got no issue with that. I'd love to see him in the Scotland squad at least once again. But we've got other players that are thriving. I mean, I don't like Ryan Christie. I think he's a bit of a bitch, but he's playing consistently well for Bournemouth. He's in the squad. When he plays for Scotland, he delivers. No need for Ryan fucking Snodgrass or Armstrong anymore. Even though Armstrong still gets picked, at least there's players ahead of him that can get him to hell.
Yeah, I think the key is with the proper players, you need the right coach and the right setup, which brings me nicely actually to the next group, Group E.
Yeah.
Well timed.
It was perfect almost, because ex-Barcelona midfielder Cervinho, midfielder, left back. He used to interchange between.
He was left back.
Yeah, I know there's been times where he's played in midfield as well. So, but
yes,
Group E, Albania top of the group. 2 games to play. I said last week and the last international break that. Yeah, I mean, I said that.
That I just wanted to say it's 5-0 Portugal halftime.
Wow, this could get ugly.
Ronaldo double, Fernandes, Cancelo, João Felix. They've butchered Bosnia. Like, Bosnia are no slouch, but they've been bitched. Ed Dzeko, you might as well just retire, mate. Sead Kolasinac.
He practically has at this point. In fact, I think they have the old faithful for Bosnia.
Yeah, they're playing.
Have practically.
They're still playing Kolasinac.
They're still playing, but where are they playing? Club football. Where is it?
I don't know where Miralem Pjanic is playing nowadays. I don't know if he's still playing in China or anywhere else. I haven't got a clue. He used to be such a very good technical player, Miralem Pjanic. I always liked watching him play. When he went to
is at the UAE. Is in the UAE.
Oh, what a sad though. He went all the way over there for the money.
Turkey, I believe.
Dzeko is playing for Galatasaray or Fenerbahce. It's one of the
Fenerbahce, yeah, he is in Turkey.
Yeah, with Fred balling it.
Yeah, Kolasinac is
fighting people.
Actually at Atalanta.
Yeah, he's just fighting people.
That's fair enough. We'll come to Portugal very soon, even though we've touched on them quite a bit already. But
I don't think we need to now. Let's carry on.
Probably skip that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, Albania, top of Group E. Silvino's got us playing some good stuff. I'm not saying we've got the best players in the world. Last week, I said that the game that we had to play was a must-win against the Czech Republic, and we played them off the park. 3-0 win. So convincing. And it's looking good right as it stands because of Poland and Moldova's 1-1 draw yesterday. Albania only need 1 point from the remaining 2 to qualify for the Euros, which obviously makes me means I've had a good weekend. I think I think that since Silvino's come in with Pablo Zabaleta as assistant, he's done well. I think what they've done is they've really took it to this group. I think when you look to the start, you probably thought Czech Republic and Poland would be the top 2, and if Albania can sneak in, maybe third, potentially give us some kind of hope. But I think being on top with 13 points, Albania they obviously have a couple of games remaining, one of them being Moldova and the other being Faroe Islands. Faroe Islands with 1 point in their entire group run. I think it's looking really good now. 13 points on the top. Czech Republic are on 11. Poland are on 10, but Czech Republic have played 1 game less. Now, it's still all to play for because Albania are only 2 points ahead. So, gents, I'll come to you first, Reece. Just give me a quick, straight answer, and then, Nathan, you do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Who finishes second? If Albania finish top, who finishes second? Czech Republic or Poland?
Czech Republic.
1 point in it between them.
Czech Republic.
For me, Czech Republic will take into advantage that game in hand, but another team in that group who cannot be sniffed at either is Moldova.
Yeah,
I mean, literally
Moldova,
another point will take them above Poland.
it's all to play for in that group still, especially for second place. There's 2 points between Czech Republic and Moldova.
And in fact, as well, Poland their record isn't exactly great compared to what Moldova have. I mean, Moldova have been grinding out results. They've only lost 1 game, which is formed to push you into those qualification spots. I mean,
Czech
Poland
just have a squad, though. That's the difference.
They do. Like Poland,
yeah, I mean, more experience as well.
Even like Moldova winning 3-2 against them, Albania 2-0 over Poland, Czech Republic destroying them as well. There's some hefty losses there for them.
I'd rather see Moldova because it's completely different. I don't want to see Poland there. But every time Poland go, they just waste time. They bore me to death.
Yeah, they don't usually do much in tournaments.
They
Unfortunately,
do nothing. They do nothing.
I still think first place is all to play for, and that's coming from the mentality of it's not over yet. There's a job to be done, and we need to get it done. Our fixtures are favourable, but they're not going to be easy. Moldova have only lost 1 game, for example. 3 draws, 2 wins. We've got 4 wins, a draw, and a loss. We're away to Moldova. So you hope that we get a point there maybe, and then 3 points against Faroe Islands, and then top spot is secure, which I think was the basis anyway. Like 4 points.
If you fail to beat the Faroe Islands, you should just pack up and not even attempt the playoffs. If you fail to beat the Faroe Islands, you should just forfeit all your points to the Faroes. Like, I'm not joking. Like, if Albania,
I know you're not.
If Albania can't beat, even if you draw with the Faroes, you should literally go as a punishment to the Albanian players. We're giving all our points to the Faroe Islands because that is a disgrace. That'd be like Germany failing to beat Liechtenstein in a qualifying game.
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
or Scotland failed to fucking beat Azerbaijan.
Yeah, I don't really want to comment anymore on that prospect just because the fear of what could happen. Listen, Silvino's come in, he's done a great job. He lives out there in Albania, so it seems that he proper understands what it's like out there as well. It's really good to see we're playing so well, similar to Scotland in the sense of we're not top by accident, we're there on merit.
Yeah, you work for it, you get there.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we were saying about Wales just now. It's all about the setup. Do you know what I mean? Going into this, you probably think, oh, maybe 3rd or 4th place, probably what they're going to get, but we're top for a reason. So you can look at it as if or maybe Poland have fallen off or whatever, or Czech Republic didn't put enough of a competition. Albania convincingly beat them at the weekend, and it could have been 4, but 1 goal was ruled out for offside, unfortunately. But the fact of the matter is, I think it was offside anyway.
Yeah.
Potentially, I may have got that one wrong. Fact of the matter is, we're top, still got a job to do, but it's looking good. Silvino is a hero to all of us Albanians, and yeah, we hope to be in Germany for next summer.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We'll see. I think he's got a decent chance of getting there. I wouldn't take anything off it. I mean, yous are playing exactly how yous need to play. The last time Wales were a good team to watch constantly was when they played that pressing, like fun enough, they did play a 3-4-3, but then they switched it to a front two. And I don't like watching Wales play with a front two. You haven't got 2 strikers to do it. Play one on their own. You've got wingers who'll play in, fullbacks who'll overlap. Like you've got something cooking. I like the way Albania are playing football. Is that very compact, aggressive mentality?
Yeah,
like it suits really well when you're playing good football to match.
We're playing to our strengths essentially.
That's exactly.
And I
how it
like
should
that.
be.
This is a team I can be proud of.
Yeah, 100%. That's exactly how it should be. Yeah, I still think they would have held. They still would have. Because
yeah, I was going to save that to when we actually got to Germany, but yeah, I still think Germany would have.
Yeah, it's when did Germany never fail qualifying when it comes to qualifying? Like when it comes to qualifying, they always go. Like they know what to do.
In particular, as well, with an end of qualifier Nagelsmann surge as well, I do think that would play into Germany's hands a lot more favourable as well.
Going into the tournament.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Moving on. Flick was right. He just made stupid mistakes. Funnily enough, when he did it right at Bayern, but when he get to the Germany job, he went against everything he did. I was like, once you do that, that's when you're screwed. Don't go against your principles.
That's basically just waving the white flag of wanting to get sacked.
He used to when he was a Bayern manager, his style was we're going to play 4-2-3-1. We're going to constantly press teams. We're going to completely bully them with pressure, dominate the ball, play it fast, but we're going to play our best players in their best positions.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll work because you'll actually see the style, whether it be a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, 2 wide men with a striker, proper number 10, a holding midfielder, and a box-to-box player. They're going to play in their positions, and we're going to go for it with fullbacks. And he plays 3 centre-backs and a fullback. And he put one winger out there with a number 10. And I'm like, this is exactly why you failed.
Yeah.
You just went against everything that you made. Funnily enough, it was his own words at Bayern where we're gonna do it simple, but it's going to be aggressive. Simple but aggressive. I was like, well, it completely changed, but you didn't do that for Germany because it started well and it was brilliant to watch. And then he just fucked it. I was like, you sabotage yourself by going against yourself. That's why I don't think Nagelsmann will.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Who's next on the group agenda?
F.
Group F. So we have pretty much a 2-way race between Belgium and Austria.
There's only one team that deserves to win that group.
Go on.
Ralf Rangnick's Austria.
Yeah.
They've been outstanding under him. Constantly, like they're always getting results. And even when they win, it's actually dominant. They won 1-0 tonight, but they actually butcher teams, and they're playing different systems but the same style of football, and nobody can figure them out. And this is the guy that Man United fans did not want involved in the club, and I'm like,
they thought he was insane. A terrible coach. Remember?
Like you deserve, the ones who did not want him involved, you deserve this.
I mean, at the same time as well, I'd like to just, before I jump back to you, Reece, I'd like to bring in Belgium's it's currently 1-1 between them and Sweden, but that back line makes me absolutely sick. Without fights, Jan Vertonghen and Castagna, that's horrendous.
This is
especially in the pace department as well.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me why he's completely changed things around. Like, I get it, they want to play attacking football, and I totally understand it from Tedesco, but I would be playing a younger defence. I bleed them in as well. When you look at the options as well, like, in no way, shape, or form, respectfully, am I starting Johan Bakayoko ahead of Jeremy Doku. I am not playing De Ketelare beside Romelu Lukaku. I like De Ketelare. I really do like De Ketelare. I defended this guy for a while. But if I'm looking at that, theoretically, he's playing the wrong system.
Another factor I think that we have seen with Belgium
start.
many times that have shot themselves on the foot with it is they're getting overrun in midfield.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to get another body in there. Like, they've got some other options. Like, I don't know why the Everton midfielder, like, I don't know why he's not in the squad. I don't know why the player that Chelsea signed, the midfielder as well,
Onana and Lavia.
Yeah, I don't know why they're not in this squad. Like, Openda and Doku and Luka Bacchio on the bench. I'm sorry, but I would change some of this up. Like, in De Ketelare, I'd put him in the 10 role. When you're going to play a front two, put Openda and Lukaku up front. Those are two strikers. De Ketelare is an attacking fielder who can play as a striker, but he's a goal scoring number 10. But Yuri Tielemans, Mangala, I play Tielemans with Lavia. Like, that's what I would do if you're going to play a 4-4-2, because at least Lavia can be your aggressive defensive player. And Jeremy Doku has been absolutely brilliant since he went to City. Like, I think some of these changes by Tedesco are really poor. As for Sweden, Dejan Kulusevski playing as a striker and Emil Forsberg, who's a number 10, is playing left midfield. I don't get it when you've got Langa on the bench, who's an actual winger. Like, some of these ones don't make sense to me either. So I'm like,
yeah, the setup is bizarre because Gyökeres has already scored tonight, and with the form that he's been in, carrying on from Coventry over to Sporting Lisbon as well. I'm surprised Maisie's not here tonight to brag about it. But I don't know why you don't play Kulusevski, Elanga, and Gyökeres.
That's what I'd have done. Yeah, exactly what I would have done. Elanga's pace would certainly benefit Gyökeres, and Kulusevski is a brilliant creator. You've got something. Belgium, exactly. I'd play a 3-4-3. I don't know why Matt Sells is the goalkeeper. I think he's crap.
Another question I'd like to very quickly put to the panel in the comments. Does Sweden get to the Euros via the playoffs? Because I think personally they look one of the strongest sides.
Yes. I think for that, yeah, because they are not catching. They're not catching Belgium. They're not catching Belgium. They're not catching Austria. Not unless they win every single game, I think.
It's a two-horse race up there.
They have to win every single game to finish above Belgium, don't they?
I believe so. Let me have a look.
Because I don't see... The funny thing is I don't see Austria losing a game for the rest of the campaign. I don't think they will.
They've only got one more game, I think, for the rest of the campaign. But Sweden have 2 games in hand on Austria.
I don't think they're finishing above them.
Actually, saying that, they have to win all 3 games and pray that Austria literally don't score another goal. Because they've got... they're just way behind. They got to win like 3 or 4 goals and not concede anything.
But when you look at Austria, even though they had 3 shots on target, they had 13 shots against Azerbaijan. Finished 1-0, but they had a player sent off. Sabitzer scored a penalty. Where do you genuinely stop them scoring goals? What's crazy as well is this. He played Konrad Leimer, who's a defensive midfielder, in the right midfield role. Niklas Sievold is a number 6 at Leipzig. But he can play box to box. He played him at right back. Florian Kainz, fullback or a wide midfielder, played him at left midfield. Florian Grilic, good player, holding midfield. Javier Schlager, who's a holding midfielder, played as a box to box. Like, this is a guy who's went, fuck it, we're going to be completely unpredictable and we're going to be hard to stop. And look at other players. They've got Patrick Wimmer, Baumgartner, like, no surprise, Leipzig players, or Patrick Wimmer is really good for Wolfsburg. Like, Sabitzer off the bench scored. He came on at half time and he scored on his first touch, and that was a penalty. I mean, that's somebody who's got his team playing exactly what they want, and it's hard to beat them. whether it be that 4-4-2, like that 4-4-2 diamond, that 4-2-2, 4-3-3, a 4-1-4-1.
Mhm.
Austria are perfectly balanced under him. It's crazy as well as I
But
think
what
if he
he's
had
got
been
there, he's got a mix of players who play literally in the model he's built in the RB group, as well as a mix of
players who can
good
actually press
quality
the ball.
players who will listen to what he wants. You know what I mean? If you look at, people will bring up his track record at United and thought he was the world's worst coach when he wasn't. You can't expect him
Exactly.
to play what he wants with that crop of players, not just from the way they play and stuff, but also with
Exactly.
the egos in mind. It was proper like substitute teacher behavior from all those players where we've got cover today, so we're in the computer room, let's do whatever the hell we want, no work, whatever. That's
If he
literally
had what he
almost what it
wanted,
felt like.
if he had what he wanted, you would have seen completely totally different. And that's what he's getting with Austria. It's crazy as well as if he was available, he would have taken the Germany job as well.
That would have been really interesting, actually.
Fucking Werner back under Rangnick and in the German side with like the players he's got. Oh, it'd be hurt like mental. Thomas Muller as well. Jesus Christ. Havertz actually working. Shock. But I'm happy with Nagelsmann. Everyone knows how much I love Nagelsmann. But Rangnick is doing absolutely brilliant for Austria. Credit where credit is due as well.
Yeah.
He didn't have to go back into football to prove a point, and yet he's doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the ins and outs of the story of how he left United and what happened with the Austria job are still relatively unknown. Some will say that he chose to leave. Some will say that Ten Hag didn't want him. Some will say that the Glazers sacked him because he spoke out. Honestly, the fact of the matter is he's gone and he's doing well. Everyone who leaves United does well elsewhere. So it's almost like, who was really the problem? Do you know what I mean? It's this constant trend of, we keep saying it, you put any manager into this current United side, they'll look mediocre. Even Pep or Klopp or Nagelsmann or anyone. These players will look good for a bit, almost cement their place in the squad for the next season. And then when it looks like they're not going to get replaced because the club can't sell players or can't buy players, they're just going to behave the way they always do.
Yep.
So it's ridiculous. I mean, we'll come to United later because obviously there was United news over the weekend. Group G, Hungary, top of the group. I think we expected them to do quite well, didn't we? Yeah. The interesting thing is Serbia in second, because
it's the best team in the Nations League versus one of the strongest Serbian teams I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think the thing with Serbia is they're on 10 points, Montenegro on 8, and Montenegro have a game in hand on Serbia, and I think they play tomorrow, so they have a head-to-head tomorrow.
Yeah, for me in that one, I think whoever does get it, and also I will say, looking back at some of Serbia's recent results that they've been getting, that Lithuania game, boy, did they dominate. And in that aspect as well, whoever wins tomorrow night, I do think will end up qualifying. But regardless if you're Serbia or Montenegro, you're giving it a good go in the playoffs.
Yes, I agree.
You in agreement, Reece?
No, I do agree. I completely agree with Nathan on that one. One other thing as well that's a reflection of them, though, is it's the level of consistency.
Yeah.
So, like, looking at Serbia, so they lost to Hungary twice. They lost back-to-back. Well, not back-to-back. They lost to, they beat Lithuania, but their two defeats were Hungary, 2-1 home and away. Not good enough. Drawn 1-1 to Bulgaria. How can Serbia go and... This is a joke. So they beat Montenegro 2-0. They beat Montenegro 2-0 last in March. The follow-up internationals is when they drew to Bulgaria, but in between both games they played Jordan and they beat them 3-2. Jordan are absolute minnows. They are, no disrespect to them, but they are the minnowest of minnows. And you're beating them 3-2 with the talent you've got. I'm sorry, but that's complete.
concerning.
But how
That's
full
complete-
strength was that Serbia team?
I'll tell you right now. Jovanovic played, Just Racic played, Filip Kostic played, Lazar Samacic played. So there's all Serie A based players pretty much. Milinkovic Savic came off the bench. Jovic scored twice off the bench. Tadic came on. Ilic came on. Zivkovic came on. Pretty much that is near enough full squad.
They're just missing the strikers, like the big name strikers they've got in their arsenal.
Vlahovic and Jovic, the Juventus and AC Milan strikers. That's it. But
And
everyone else is, but give or take, that is full strength, near enough full strength for them. When you look at their game against Hungary when they lost, they went 1-0 up in the 10th minute. Full strength, playing that 3-4-1-2 with Tadic in behind Vlahovic and Mitrovic. But they took off Maximovic, Randoncic, Vlahovic, Tadic, Kostic in that game. When ideally, I'm not taking them off, I'm keeping them on. He brought on Luka Jovic in the 87th minute for Vlahovic. I'm like, that's not how you want to win football matches. You keep your best players on. If you really need to get a result, keep them on. But they bottled it. But like, Serbia's team's good, but if they're the recent results, I'm not convinced. And the fact is as well, whereas Serbia drew to Bulgaria, Montenegro beat them 2-1, and then they beat Lebanon 3-2 on a friendly. But here's a shock. This is not what they. Well, this is generally not what they want. Montenegro in June lost 4-1 to. Well, it's saying Czechia, but I'm assuming that's Czech Republic. No, it's not. That's Czechia. Yeah, totally different. That's another one where you can't be losing big games like that, even if it's a friendly. That's an international friendly. You're losing 4-1 to Czechia. That's Montenegro. That's poor. And then obviously they lost. Obviously they did lose just before that to Montenegro, and then they drew 0-0 with Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Montenegro have wasted opportunities here, and Hungary have been absolutely amazing throughout, like the Nations League and in games regularly. Like,
it's all that second spot is all to play for.
yeah,
Both teams essentially, it's a case of who's going to mess up the least. I think in the final run-in between Serbia and Montenegro, it's going to be a case of who's going to mess up the least, and the winner of that terrible competition doesn't qualify like in second. Do you know what I mean? So
no, I completely agree with you.
I think that. Do we think? I personally think that Serbia might drop out of second.
I think the way they've played in recent games, and judging by results and the stats as well, don't help. And I'm not much of a stats guy, but update,
Wow.
ladies and
I've just seen this.
yep, I was literally just about to bring up. That's not good. So that, ladies and gentlemen, for our Spotify,
That is concerning.
So the news has just come in. The match in Brussels has been stopped. A possible terrorist attack close to the stadium. 2 Swedes shot and killed, others injured. That is terrible news.
That has made it very complicated.
Oh my goodness.
Ladies and gentlemen, for our Spotify listeners as well, if you are listening to us on Spotify, this is during the Belgium-Sweden Euro 24 qualification match. Possible terrorist attack, obviously, just outside the stadium in Brussels where people have been killed. Obviously, with the game abandoned, that will greatly affect the match because obviously it was still 1-1 in the fixture. I think it's unjust and unfair to just completely abandon it on both sides where they offer no consolation. But
may I just add as well, it's been abandoned at half time.
Yeah. So in the sense of it, we might on a different day get similar to Feyenoord versus Ajax, where we'll just get a brief period of time, where in this case we just have the 45-minute second half, but it'll have to be in a different location, obviously. This is not good. This is just a reflection of what's going on right now worldwide. In other areas, obviously, we're not going to talk about it from political or religious reasons, depending on where you are. Israel and Palestine. We're now getting this now in Europe regarding Belgium and Sweden. We don't know what the reason is for that, so we can't speculate. But what we are going to say, though, is for those who have been killed, our thoughts and prayers go out to their families. We're very sorry to hear that at the World of Football podcast. And obviously, circumstance has been dictated where this is a very important match for both teams and both nations. It has been called off. So we'd like to see how UEFA conduct this efficiently and properly, and also get this sorted in the safest and most safest and efficient way possible to ensure no further lives are taken.
Yeah, well said, Reece. Oh my goodness, that's
Absolutely.
horrible. We all remember what happened in Paris in
Manchester
late
as well.
2015, was it? You know, where France were playing Germany, and then we all heard it then. I think that it's crazy. Like, we haven't seen something like this for a while. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, players are now refusing to emerge for second half. Fabrizio Romano has just tweeted.
Jesus Christ. I'm almost at loss for words. The perpetrator remains on the loose. Jesus,
Wow.
he's still at large. I don't blame the players for not wanting to emerge at all. It's not safe out there currently.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
right. Well, they shouldn't. Oh, like, absolutely shouldn't. Like, there's no need.
Absolutely not. I just hope that the local authorities get to the perpetrator as soon as possible before any more lives are taken.
Yeah.
I'm just in disbelief.
I'm just putting out a tweet right now, just regarding the situation. I'm just putting out what I've got in my head. So he escaped on a scooter. Does he think he's in like downtown Italy? I'm not trying to make a joke out of that. I'm not trying to make a joke out of that, lads. But I'm just being like, is that his clear intention? I'm like, that's just mental.
Doesn't.
Now it just goes to show the slow reaction, but that's just another story for another day, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously we'll wait for more information to come out regarding that. But it is shocking that something like that has happened, and the way that obviously, the terror threat is now at its highest level. I think it's
there. That's that being tweeted out. So just something like quick, fast, but it's exactly what I'm thinking. Horrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll move on to the next couple of groups.
To any reviewers, like obviously, that was. We've had very difficult moments on this World of Football podcast before. We've had some mad ones. We've never had a conversation stop before over this. It is uncomfortable, but I believe as a trio, I believe we've handled this very well. Especially what we have to bring to you guys as well. We're not just going to stop the podcast over people being killed, but we are going to at least give our sincerest thoughts and prayers. And we're also going to make light of what we have heard and what we've seen. We haven't seen, obviously we can't see what's going on, but we have heard it. And we are making it light to all of our listeners and our viewers. So we do appreciate that. Well done to the lads for how they reacted there as well. Obviously, normally I take control of the conversation, but I appreciate the lads letting me speak on that. That was just they had no choice. But I appreciate anyone that sticks and listens to us for that. But also, wholesome content is what we want. We want to make sure everyone enjoys what they listen and see. But the most important thing right now is, and I say this with the greatest respect, is I hope the Belgian police catch that bastard.
Yes.
Yeah, 100% agree. It reminds me of it's just reminding me of Paris when,
That's the one I was thinking
that
of.
Friday night, France played Germany. During the game, you can hear the explosions outside the stadium and what happened. It's just reminding me of that. And we haven't seen something, obviously we saw Manchester in 2017, but we haven't seen something like this for a good while. And obviously to have it live on the show here, I think it catches you off guard, news like that. And my condolences are with the family, and I hope the Belgian police find this person and stop him before it gets worse, because if the perpetrator is still at large, who knows, more lives could be taken. And it's horrible. No one ever wants to see this. No one wants to ever experience it. Nothing. And I really do feel for the safety of all those that are in Brussels tonight, especially around the match, because if it's 2 Swedes that have been killed outside the stadium, but close to the stadium at least, and then others have been injured, then you worry about the safety, because people will want to get out and escape in case the perpetrator somehow has got in. But at the same time, they can't leave because what if the perpetrator is still at large locally? No, it's almost like no one is safe. So
it just makes you wonder what the motivation was as well. Like, this is the thing. Like, and I don't, and I'm not saying this as a disrespectful way towards like Belgium or Sweden, but when you think about what's to offer, if you're looking for a big political statement in any shape, you go for like the very big situated games or sporting environments. I don't know what there is to gain from this one, but what you have done is you've put massive panic into people anyway. And I was like, it is clear panic. Horrible.
The video was released and the person said in Arabic, I think it read on the report, that they were doing the attack in the name of God. I'm just relaying what I've just read. I think
so you're telling me it's religious reasons. Is that what you're basically telling me?
Well, I'm just reading exactly what it says on BBC News. A video posted on social media of an Arab-speaking man claiming he carried out the attack in the name of God. The man in the clip added he has killed 3 people. The federal prosecutor's office has confirmed it has seen the video but cannot confirm he is the gunman for some reason. But
well, that makes sense why they can't, because he could just be talking bullshit. Like, he could
in
be.
the video,
he could.
I'm just trying to read what it says here, because a social media video shared by newspaper, I can't read that, on Monday, but not verified by BBC News, showed a man wearing a fluorescent jacket get off a scooter armed with what appears to be an assault-style rifle before entering a nearby glass-fronted building. He appears to then shoot at least one person. The emergency services have cordoned off nearby roads following the shooting, which happened at around 7 o'clock local time.
That's not good.
It seems that obviously the match, the news hasn't been fed in until obviously during the match being played. They must have gone in and found this out. It is unclear whether the victims were in the city for the match, but if it's a harrowing attack on Swedish citizens in Brussels, it could be a potential assumption there. I think that it's just crazy.
It is
horrible. I think we have said definitely what we can say, and we hope justice is taken in the right way. And I think the only thing we can do in the nicest way is, because this is as much as we know, is we just move on. In the nicest way, we just move on, because this is as much as we know. Yeah. We can't speculate or go into any further.
Yeah. All I've done, I've just read reports. That's all I've done. One report here from Sky News saying that football fans have been told to stay in the stadium.
Yeah, if
which does
somebody's
make sense, to be fair.
yeah, if somebody's taking this though as an extreme act of God, though, then I don't want to delve deep in that route, because then it will lead to religion and not religious. And it's just that anyone can use it for that reason. And I believe religion should be about education and the beauty beside what you can learn from it. I don't want to divulge the fact it can lead to extreme methods. So I don't want to go into that. So I would rather we just, in the respectful way, say, rest in peace to those who have tragically lost their lives. My thoughts and prayers go out to your family. Hopefully get justice, and we're now going to move on.
Yeah, well said, Reece. I completely agree. To the football.
Yeah.
Let's run through these final 3 groups quickly, because obviously there's a couple of other bits we want to talk about as well. Group H, this is that 4-way group, at least it was last week when we had a look at it, where you had Slovenia and Denmark now on 16 points, Finland and Kazakhstan now both on 12 points.
Yeah,
this is a group of 6, so all the teams still they play 10 games, not 8, so there's 3 games left for all the teams to play, so it's still all to play for in this.
Mm-hmm.
Excluding obviously San Marino, but I think with the way that it's come about at the moment, I got to add that in there, haven't I, guys?
Gone are the days where San Marino are getting beat 13-0 by Germany on a regular basis, but I do want to see them in a group again one day.
Yeah, that would be nice, and it's actually refreshing that they're not in a group of England this time, because they always seem to play.
It's never nice watching those two play. It's horrible. It's horrible because you know what's coming. It's like 8-9-0s, and we're like, fuck.
Can we just say goals for 0, goals against -24?
I just feel sorry for San Marino. Like, we've mentioned this before, funnily enough, like, where it's no disrespect to put these lower nations into groups with just lower nations, because it'll actually make them more competitive for them, where they can actually develop their players properly, instead of throwing them every single time into groups with the likes of France, Holland, Portugal, Germany, England. Put them with the likes of Liechtenstein, the Faroe Islands, and all that, and it makes it better for them because they can all test each other, get competitive, and then they can come up level by level.
Exactly.
It feels like you're doing a disservice by putting them in these games where they're going to get absolutely trounced.
But for me, moving back over to it, Slovenia, for me, finishing the group top with Denmark. Depends which way it goes. Finland and Kazakhstan. Yeah, they're going straight into the playoffs, and then it's Northern Ireland, San Marino. And you know who's finishing where, to be honest. I can't see San Marino getting a couple of wins. You never know with the state that Northern Ireland have been. But, I mean, they're coming to their own. Michael O'Neill's back in the side now, carrying on the sort of good run he had in 2016. They've had their struggles over the last few years, but starting to come back into it, but still inconsistent with a squad that hasn't really got anything coming through, and a lot of retirements as well.
No, 100%.
Fair enough. I think that, personally, I think the way the top 4 in that group, I think, stays as is.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see any drastic changes. If there are going to be any changes, it's going to be the 2 teams in the pair of teams on each points total. They might rotate position. That's it. I don't see anyone.
I'm not convinced by either of them. They don't strike me as
a.
Put it this way: if any of those teams get Scotland at the Euros, I'm not sweating. I'm not sweating them. They don't intimidate me.
Yeah, I think what's crazy is the fact that there's similar records. Like Slovenia and Denmark both have 5 wins, a draw, and a loss. They've both conceded 6 goals, but Slovenia have scored 1 more goal than Denmark.
Really?
As for Finland and Kazakhstan, both drawn 0, lost 3, won 4. Finland scored 11, conceded 7. Kazakhstan scored 10, conceded 8. So I think that I don't think it will. A lot of their records are similar, so I don't think we'll see much.
They aren't good enough. Then they're not convincing. Numbers wise, goals for, goals against, they're not convincing. I don't think any team's generally going to sweat them at a main tournament, whoever qualifies. It's a pointless group. Move on.
What about the next group, Reece? Because I feel like
this is interesting.
There is one name in here that you would have thought would be top, and they might be because they have a game in hand. We've got Group I, which has Romania top on 16 points, after 8 games. Switzerland second with 15, but they have the game in
Yep.
hand.
Mhm.
Israel
Yeah.
on 11, Kosovo on 7. Disappointed that Kosovo couldn't do more in this, but we
not.
move Belarus in 6th and Andorra Belarus with 6 points in 5th and Andorra in 6th with 2 points. How do we see this panning out exactly?
It is tricky. I think that there is a chance that Switzerland could still top it, but Romania have been impressive in their last few, and another team that obviously they're going to have a few games in hand now, but Israel have been on a good run of form as of late as well, getting up some mammoth victories. So we got 2 teams that are destined to go through, and then to add to it, like any 3 of them could do bits, to be honest, but whoever slots in that 3rd place, I think has a massive chance of getting to Germany next year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they will more than likely do it. I think Israel, it'll benefit them more if they do finish in the top 2 over than the playoffs, because I think there could be some hesitancy and complacency mixed in there. But if Switzerland somehow go on a bad run and do finish in that 3rd, I think they'll be destined to just fly through the playoffs. But very tight group. Kosovo, Belarus, and Andorra. Don't know why I butchered all 3 of those then. Can't see it with the way that the top 3 have been. But aside from that, going to be interesting running.
Yeah, 100%. I think now let's get to the more interesting one. We've already mentioned Portugal a few times.
It's Romania for me. It's Romania that win that group for me.
Yeah.
You reckon it stays as is?
Mm-hmm.
The thing I will say, though, is look at Switzerland's goal difference. Plus 12 in 7 matches. That's very good. And with a game in hand as well. 20
goals scored.
I just like what Romania have done, and the fact that they've got Hagi playing good football again is even better. That's helped them a lot.
Feels like ages since we've heard that. Yeah. Portugal then. Group J.
First team to officially qualify.
And saying that as well, I would like to add the only perfect team, 8-8 at the moment. And in addition to that, another thing
goals.
that I want, 32 goals. Mad.
They have
32 goals scored, 2 conceded.
Yeah. They've been absolutely fantastic. Here's another thing, lads, that's actually genuinely bloody incredible. Greece, Netherlands is 0-0. Iceland are smashing Liechtenstein 4-0. Gibraltar 0. Republic of Ireland 4. They've had, this is not a joke by the way, 76% possession, shots on target 12, off target 9, shots 26 compared to Gibraltar's 3. Like fucking Ireland have came into it tonight as well and they've went for it. Ferguson scoring, Mikey Johnson scoring, Matt Doherty scored and they got an assist. Jamie McGrath got 2 assists. Like,
it's very good.
Callum Robinson just scored. He scored in the 80th minute for the 4th goal.
Bluebirds.
It's
sorry, let's get that in there.
I know.
The 2 CR7s scored tonight. Callum Robinson 7 and Cristiano Ronaldo 7.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Genuinely so good. And it's still 5-0 Portugal with 6 minutes to go. Like, this is insane.
But I think here's a question I'd like to pitch to you guys.
Ooh,
with the way that they have been in this qualifying campaign, does this make Portugal favourites aside from Germany?
The expectation doesn't change to what we normally expect of them. We expect them to do well every tournament. I just feel like that we might see them actually produce something a bit more convincing this time around than we have in the last few tournaments. Whether it means they're favourites to win the damn thing,
expectation is semi-finals minimum.
Yeah,
has to be. With the level of quality they've got from goalkeeper, defense, attack, midfield, and attack, it's perfect.
If they're cooking as a team, then semis, anything less than semis, would be a disappointment.
The fact that they're beating us, even though a defensively strong Bosnia team 5-0, that says a lot. And that's not like saying a joke that Bosnia are defensively strong. Bosnia generally are a strong defensive side, and they're being swept apart. Especially with players playing out of position. Leao's playing as a centre forward behind a striker, not a winger. And he's adapted really well. this is a team that's actually blessed all round, back to front. Semi-finals minimum. They're one of the teams I'm expecting to get that far. They're one of the teams I'm expecting to be in that Final Four.
You look on paper in that squad, it looks like one of the most complete squads we've got in the entire, like...
Massive.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you look at all the teams going to the Euros, potentially all the favourites, it looks like the most complete team out there. You've got a solid defence, a good midfield, and a really good attack. Do you know, everywhere it's not quite best in class, but probably getting there. So
yeah,
I mean, how mad would it be as well if Cristiano Ronaldo captains a Portugal side to victory when he's 38 years old playing in the Saudi Pro League?
Yeah, and the team's playing around him to his strengths, and he's still been effective scoring goals.
I think I think they've got the right manager in that sense. I think Santos was probably a case of pass to Ronaldo, you guys do your bit as well. Whereas Martinez has gone, you play through Ronaldo, you play with Ronaldo as opposed to just find him and hope for the best. But also, all of you do your bits. Do you see the difference?
But we've seen it when Ronaldo hasn't played. They go from so with Ronaldo playing, they play a midfield 4. When Ronaldo doesn't play, they play a midfield 3. It's almost like they've got the perfect blend where they can anticipate when Ronaldo is or isn't going to play, and they've actually got the system set for him. I think that's also very impressive from Martinez. He deserves that a little bit of plaudit.
Yeah, 100%. I think when you've got that adaptability in your squad, I think one of the things I've praised about England for the last few years is the fact that Southgate could play like a 4 at the back or a 3 at the back, depending on who the opposition is. And I think you've got that
Holland
with
have a
Martinez.
penalty. Sorry to interrupt. Holland have a penalty.
Ooh, interesting.
And this is crunch time. Is it going to be who's going to take it? I wonder if will Xavi Simons take it or will it be Weghorst?
So I'm just waiting.
I am going to check. Let's find out. It's just not telling me. Come on, you bastard. Tell me. Well, it's not Xavi Simons because he's went off. Let's have a look. Who's still in the field? There's no Weghorst either. And Weghorst actually missed a penalty in the 28th minute.
Yeah, they're not going to have him take it again.
Yeah, especially because they take him off. Even better. Even funnier.
Jesus Christ. Whilst we wait on that, Reece, you're probably going to interrupt me whilst I'm asking this question now. Slovakia and Luxembourg.
Shite group.
2nd and 3rd. Bosnia in 4th and 9th, although I don't think Bosnia can do much considering the beatdown they've got tonight. Does it finish as is? I mean, Luxembourg surprising everyone.
For me, it's got
a little bit in 3rd.
Yeah, there's no way that changes.
I mean, there's 2 games left?
Yeah.
Oh, saying that, sorry,
Slovakia
Bosnia are now in 5th.
both.
Iceland have gone up to 4th. My bad, I wasn't looking at the up-to-date table.
That's because of that 5-0 smashing, that's why. Come on. They've not told me who's taking the penalty. It's sad for Greece as well. This penalty is the 89th minute. Like that's just brutal. Still not shown who's taking the penalty. Who's taking this fucking penalty?
It changes the context of the group.
It was Dumfries that drew the foul to get the penalty as well. Dumfries played in a wide midfield role, not a fullback role tonight.
Yeah, so Netherlands win tonight. They go level on points, don't they?
Yep, and that helps. It helps Ireland.
But goal difference-wise, it doesn't change too much. So Greece is still 2nd, but it just leaves it all to play for in the final game.
Correct. They haven't updated it yet, though, unfortunately. Come on, you wankers.
Yeah, Greece play France on the final match there.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll get Euro 2004 repeat.
That'd be class if we do.
That'd be actual funny if they went and done it. Come on. Still no change yet. It would help if he just took it.
See if I can get it.
Slovakia are 1-0 up on Luxembourg as well. VAR checking Netherlands penalty.
That'll be why.
Yeah.
Oh.
Let me just get a charger.
Yeah, this is what I don't understand. Is VAR only happening in certain games?
I would have thought maybe yes, because we saw the problem with the Swansea versus Man City FA Cup tie a few years back, didn't we? Even though Swansea had a Premiership stadium because they'd been in the Premier League for the previous 6 years before that season, 6, 7, 8 years. VAR wasn't in that stadium because they were in the Championship, and what VAR does in some games is they won't meet the regulations. So I don't know if know if that's at play here. I could be wrong on that, but that's just my theory on that.
No,
I think it's
right.
ridiculous though.
Yeah, because it just makes it very inconsistent. Because at the end of the day, you could have a scenario where England's I don't know why I'm bringing this up. England could decide to play a game at the Stadium of Light.
1-0. Van Dijk has scored. Yeah, that's another.
Van Dijk took the penalty.
Van Dijk took it and scored it.
That's a good decision.
Fair play to him.
93rd minute.
Oh, a man! To be fair, you need your big name players in that kind
That
of.
took 4 minutes, gentlemen.
Wow.
4 minutes to decide if it was a penalty or not.
4 minutes to get there. Yeah, 89th minute the foul was drawn. VAR checked it in the 91st minute, and then 93rd minute Van Dijk scored.
I think that very, very perfectly takes us on to the next topic.
I was about to say that's perfect. Reece, was it a penalty?
Yes.
Okay, moving on. So on tonight's Ref Watch, apart from that Van Dijk one, which was thrust into our lap,
we need to give Ref Watch a special introduction. This is like a bastard intro. It needs to be cool.
All right, Nathan, you get the music. Reece, you do something, and we'll do it in the future.
I've got something in mind. I'll do it when I post. I've got something fun in mind for Ref Watch.
Yeah, let's wait till Reece's episode. So, who do we start with this week?
Let's get mine out the way because I think it was the right decision. Well, more so than the other ones.
You called it Ref Watch. Now you're agreeing with the referee.
No, because hang on, we criticize referees, but if they do something right, we got to bring it up. The reason I wanted to bring it up because it did cause some debate on the pitch. Even the commentators who were looking at it, what are we looking at here? So if anyone saw the Spain-Norway game, was it last night before, where we saw Morata tap in from close range and it was given for offside. And what's happened is a long ball is played into the box over the top. Morata was offside when the ball was played, but the ball wasn't going to be played to him. It was going to another Spain player. However, a centre-back comes back. He gets a toe on it to take it away from that player. However, Orlan Nyland, familiar name, you gentlemen may know, ex-Aston Villa goalkeeper. Yeah. He's somewhere outside of his goal. There's been clear miscommunication between him and the centre-back. The ball's gone past him and it's going in anyway. Morata, being the lethal poacher in the form he's in already this season, taps it in. And it looks like a straightforward goal because it's come off the defender, but it was given for offside because I believe they were looking at it from a perspective of when the ball was played, even though it hit the defender, he was offside when the ball was played into the box by the Spain player. Nathan, I want to bring you into this because you mentioned an example to me backstage. Do you want to elaborate on this with comparing it to that example?
Yeah, I did, and it caused a lot of debate at the time. Not so much with England fans, but mainly with Wales fans, and that was the Jamie Vardy goal back in 2016 Euros. So obviously, cross comes in. Vardy was onside at the time, but it gets flicked on by Ashley Williams when Vardy was in an offside position. Now, there is a very grey area law with it, and based on what the referee said at the time, the reason that it was given a goal was because it was played off the Wales defender. But I think with that scenario and also this scenario, which is two different situations, but Morata was offside when the ball was played, whereas Vardy was onside, I do think that a clear-cut law needs to be implemented with this. So the referees and VAR can go, right, that's the law. Let's implement it that way. Whether we go, if the ball's been played and the player's offside, then it's offside, or if it's played by a defender into a player who's further up the pitch, then are they offside? Are they not offside? I think it needs to be very more clear-cut. Otherwise, we're going to keep having these more marginal decisions where referee or VAR is like, well, we don't know what way to interpret this, if that makes sense. But in this particular scenario, I do think that the referee made the correct call.
That's fair enough. By the way, gents, I just wanted to bring to your attention something I've just seen. In the table I'm looking at for the Netherlands match, they've actually gone into second. Are we aware whether it's based on a head-to-head thing or is it a goal difference thing?
I think it should be head-to-head, but technically they shouldn't be because Greece are still 3 points ahead of them. If it is head-to-head,
no, actually,
then yeah.
Because Netherlands winning tonight puts some level on points.
Yeah, head-to-head.
But then again, Netherlands have a game in hand. So if they lose the next game to whoever that is, I can't remember at the moment.
Ireland.
So, yeah, if Netherlands somehow lose to Ireland, then Greece will go above them.
Yeah, Greece play France, Netherlands play Ireland, and then Gibraltar.
Ireland are going to... Ireland, funnily enough, tonight I've got that perfect one against Gibraltar. They're going to exploit the loophole.
They are.
Jesus.
They got what they needed. Reece, I'm going to come to you for a decision before I return to Nathan for another decision. What decision do you want to bring to the table this evening?
I'd like to know, first of all, on a fraudulent scale, how that goal was impeding. I'd love to know how Aaron Hickey was apparently impeding Unai Simon, who can clearly see the ball coming and didn't bother to move position. And Hickey barely touched him to the point where it literally goes right through him, lobbed it into his top corner. And the thing that is even more insulting is when the referee goes to VAR to check it and he does his stupid little VAR thing, but he points it at the centre circle, but a goal wasn't given. I'd love to know that, but also like he's barely touching him, and they're trying. Then obviously UEFA then get involved saying it's an offside decision. I'm sorry, but he's not in an offside position. He's not impeding, and Unai Simon can clearly see the ball coming, and he's actually positioned to stay himself on the line. He hasn't moved or anything.
Another aspect I'd like to give and jump in with that, Reece, is that Aaron Hickey didn't actually touch the ball.
Exactly. And he's not even in the way. Like Aaron Hickey actually he's not impeding at all.
I would like to say that the fact that UEFA changed their mind from the referee's decision makes them guilty and basically shows the complete incompetence of both VAR and the referee in that game, saying where they think, oh, it's a foul, but how can you change your mind after the game and say, no, it was actually given for offside? You're essentially just trying to make up excuses of the reason that you got it wrong. I mean, if this happened in the Premier League, we just get a PGMO, whatever those ridiculous number of letters.
Another apology
would be put to the table
no,
where
I reckon
no action is made at all.
I reckoned on VAR they had Anton Deck in there.
Lads,
right, now say.
There's another thing. VAR's just overturned a penalty for Holland, but the best player has been sent off. It's saying red card for Greece. It's saying red card for Greece, player name unknown. Right. VAR's just overturned a third penalty.
Interesting.
Third penalty.
100th minute. Full time.
Greece have lost their heads probably.
Yeah, but a player called Unknown was sent off in the 99th minute. That's my field day gone. But no, like going back to what Nathan was saying there about like UEFA, like casually 30 minutes after the decision, and I'm like, you can't do that. Like that's one, you're going to set off the Scotland fans even more, and two, it's proven the point that these are your officials that you've literally just set them up for failure. But I don't understand why, if you're not going to give a goal, why are you not doing this? Why are you doing... That's insinuating that you're giving a goal.
For me, the referee should be held to account for that, because that is just going into the area of incompetence.
And misleading, completely misleading. But it's not like
100%.
Amazing goal to overrule, an amazing finish. Clearly somebody's been watching the Beckham documentary. But on a grand scale, Aaron Hickey's not offside. He's not impeding Unai Simon. And we've seen this in the Premier League time and time again when a goal's given. If a goalkeeper can clearly see it and they can position themselves, why is Unai Simon just standing there? Why is he not attempting to make a move? It's almost as if he knew, like, I've got this covered. You know what I mean? Like, it seems so sus. And that's and obviously the way it conducts it. If Scotland get beat, Scotland get beat. But it was the way that, as I said for the whole game when we discussed it earlier, like well over an hour ago, Spain, possession. They did nothing all game. Mm-hmm. Coincidentally, Spain score after we get VAR overturned. Coincidence? I think not. It's almost as if Spain were desperate, cheating the whole way through. But you won't hear Rodri say that. You won't hear that little scummy cunt saying, "Oh, we didn't play rubbish football. We didn't see all that." But in actual fact, all you were doing is what you accused Scotland of. Fouling and all that and just going down. Well, no, we just beat you off the park. You just went and done what you claim we did to us, and you cheated, and UEFA have actually helped you. Says a lot about Spain. I
think
a massive difference.
After the game, I think after the Spain team left, whoever went in to clean that dressing room just saw that it reeked of hypocrisy, and there was no air fresheners available to, like, nothing can take that smell out.
Yep.
Nathan, I come to you with the Wales game last night. You had a good night. Could have been better, maybe.
We watched this backstage. Let's disclose this. We've watched this backstage before we came live because we can't show clips because we don't have a cover we don't have a cover for it, unfortunately, so we can't hide the information, but we can discuss it. But we have seen
Which is a shame because we could have gone into really, really slow motion detail with it. But
if we just stop it right there.
Exactly, which is what we did earlier. But long story short, ball gets whipped in to Harry Wilson. It was what you could say, because this one depends on timing and the way that you interpret it, and also the angle. Mm-hmm. Gets fouled just outside the box, yellow card given. And looking back on it, hindsight, and at the time of where I was positioned in the ground on the Canton stand, my angle pretty much shows that he was last man. So the Croatian player should have been sent off. But when you watch it back on TV, with the secondary angles that were given, the Croatian number 4 was about 2 yards, you could say, level with Harry Wilson. So in the laws of the game, as you guys could say, and I know you guys will get to it in a moment, it is a yellow card because technically he still got to the ball. However, when you look at it from my angle, Wilson was there. The number 4 was there.
Yeah.
I don't think, personally, from my angle, he could have got there in time. And from what everyone around me was thinking, that was a red card. But ultimately, I'm going to put that to the table.
Yeah,
no,
I think,
agree.
I think it was the right call because I think Gvardiol was close enough. I think when you look at this, Gvardiol was the furthest back. Do you know what I mean? He was the furthest. Yeah. He was the second to last footballer out there. You had the goalkeeper in goal. Then you had Gvardiol, then Wilson, then Vida. But it was marginal. It was marginal. And I think also that Gvardiol had come across, and I think he'd come across just enough to almost save Vida from a sending off, because I think if Gvardiol had kept running back in the position he was in and not like ran across, we may have sat here be saying a different thing. So I completely...
You could, in that aspect, with what Gvardiol was doing, he was sort of playing the reverse offside trap.
Yeah,
saving your
it
player
was
by
almost like
staying
that,
in front
yeah.
of him.
Because I think that if Wilson had gone through, if Vida wasn't there, I think Vardiol would have gotten close to him. I'm hesitant to say he would have blocked it, but it wasn't a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity either. Do you know what I mean? Because I think with
Ish.
Vardiol there, and then the
Vida.
goalkeeper as well.
Yeah, it's covered.
Yeah. So I think for once, I think the referees were spot on at the weekend ish, more so than
Mhm.
normal. I don't think they had a lot to deal with personally. So I think it says more about the fact that on the international stage, there isn't as much controversy as there is.
It's
In
about
particular in the
making
Premier
it
League and the
happen.
Championship. But we'll wait again
Yeah.
this weekend. I'm sure there's going to be a cocktail full of poor decisions coming to us at the weekend. And you never know, this could be an hour-long segment with
And
what
I
we
will
could
be
be
there no
expecting.
matter what.
Sweet.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Like, comment,
Yes.
subscribe, guys.
Absolutely.
Moving on now. When me and Reece came into this weekend, we probably thought our football club on a regular basis couldn't find a way to ruin our day a little bit.
Yeah.
And then news broke out over the weekend regarding the Manchester United takeover. I think everyone is very familiar with what's happened. I think, Reece, before I come to you about it, my piece simply what I will say now. From the start, I've always said no such thing as a perfect owner. And I didn't like any of the candidates. It was more of a case of I was looking at it, who's going to leave the football club in the best position. I thought the Qataris, whether it was just Sheikh Jassim on his own or it was actually state owned, even though I wasn't for the idea of unlimited money and all that, I think they would have left the club in a better position if, for example, Manchester City's ownership was anything to go by. I know it's Abu Dhabi, but I think that the Saudis at Newcastle seem to be doing a good thing with an evolution. Manchester City, even though Manchester City was more of a revolution, they've now shown that after they built the elite squad to challenge, they then evolved in terms of what they built. Jim Ratcliffe is now in. It seems. Obviously, there needs to be a vote, there needs to be a board meeting, but it looks like it's happening with Sheikh Jassim pulling out. 25% plus the fact that obviously he's going to be doing sporting decisions. We could sit here and complain, oh no, the Qataris didn't get it, the Glazers are still here, it's over. And whilst I've joked and entertained about the prospect of debt, more debt, FFP, points deduction, administration, Plymouth Argyle away on Tuesday nights for a laugh, reality of the matter is, what's done is done. Jim Ratcliffe is there. His credentials don't look so great. But then you'd hope that if there is an emotional attachment with Manchester United, if there is the fact that he's learnt from mistakes from Nice, and also the fact that he said he wouldn't run this when he was asked about Chelsea, he said I won't run it as a business. That comment could mean a lot of things. You look down at the legal pad of the pros and cons. You question how good he'll be, but I'm in the camp of if he's here, I will hope that he would push us forward, because let's not forget, obviously, like, it is what it is. Even though the Glazers are here every year, we still want our club to do well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not blown away by the names mentioned, but I think that I don't know if that comes from the fact that it's very easy as a PR spin to say we're going to be looking at investing in the structure, we're going to change the structure, we're going to bring in, the two, Paul Mitchell was a name that's been mentioned. He's apparently moved back to Manchester and he's looking for a return to the Premier League. His credentials look very good. He's a name I've been asking for about 4 years now, to be honest. There was other names in that kind of department with Michael Edwards, for example, who was at Liverpool. I think you get both of them in. I think you get Paul Mitchell, who gets great investment in, and then you get I almost said Perry Edwards for a moment there. That's not quite the right person, the right field.
Paul Mitchell's got the scouting network as well. That's important. Michael Edwards was great at Liverpool for data analysis and data structure on a player to the T.
And bring in obscene amounts of money for players who weren't worth that much. I mean, Solanke for 20 million. I mean, come on, guys. That is
not enough.
There needs to be an overall. In my opinion, there needs to be an overall structural change. And
I'd say 4 or 5 will give complete control, and it shuts out them. It's not a way of shutting them out, but it shuts down the manager as well, where the manager should not have authority on transfers, especially from a league that is not physically adaptable to the Premier League, where this team lacks a lot of physicality and technical players. Man City tried that when Pep came in. They signed Alexis Nolito and all that. They realised that he was wrong. They're going to listen to him, but they're going to go, okay, the player you want isn't good for us because he's not strong enough, but he's good with the ball and he's technical to how you want to play. But we're going to get somebody else that's actually just as good, but they are powerful players as well. We need that in our team. We need physical-based technical players. Add that to our squad, we can adapt, but also just overall control where the manager's got somebody above him that can actually go to. More than one, in my opinion. I think we need 4 or 5. Personally, I think we need 4 or 5. Mitchell, one of them. I would definitely be all in on Michael Edwards. I think he's fantastic.
You need a board.
Yeah.
If we got, I mean, Reece, would you take Ralph Ranier back? Because I wanted him to stay from the start. I wanted I had a vision. Well, I say a vision. I had an imagination, for example, where it's like Van der Sar, maybe a CEO, just running everything, but not directly doing everything. And then you have the likes of Ranić, Paul Mitchell sitting in a boardroom. There was a name that was being mentioned. Reece, I tagged you in it earlier. Jean-Claude Blanc, CEO of Juventus, former CEO, former general director of PSG.
You need that serious understanding of the game from a sporting side that will actually elevate. And the one that used to do Monaco and, funnily enough, PSG is another one that I would do everything. I would just go and City, I've got 3 technical directors, sports directors. Let's just go and get 3 ourselves, or 4 or 5, whatever. It's not necessarily about more cooks in the kitchen and all that, but it's certainly 4 or 5 sporting individuals that actually understand how to run a football club from all aspects, where you run the team, recruitment.
You got 4 specific parts of the menu. You got 4 different cuisines. You need the right chef for each cuisine, and then everything together makes a great restaurant.
Absolutely, and then that's exactly what United need. So I'm all in for that. I'm completely all in. Carry on.
Yeah, I think it's Nathan. Before I come to you, I'll just say this. I think I know it's a PR. It seems like a bit of a PR spin. I mean, I'm all for Jim Ratcliffe coming in and going, give me 100 days to see how good this structure is. I hope he doesn't have any sentimentality with the likes of Richard Arnold and John Murtough, where he looks at them and goes,
if he wants to succeed here,
you can stay along for the ride, but we need best in class. If you had a boardroom that saw Michael Edwards, Ralph Ranić, Paul Mitchell, even this Blanc gentleman in there, you see something very good there.
And they all have
from the sporting side, because
networks.
Yeah, exactly. Because what you get with Ranić and Paul Mitchell, you get your contacts, you get your respect. I don't think we'll get fleeced in terms of how we operate anymore, like in terms of transfer deals in and out. You've got connections there, really good connections. I mean, Ranić, it's very easy for him to say that when he was there, but he said that in the January transfer window, he said, Ronaldo's too old, you need to bring in Haaland, or you need to bring players for the future. So Luis Diaz, for example, or Vlahovic, or Julian Alvarez, 3 players who all moved in that transfer window alone. Mm-hmm. Granted, they were all in demand, and it's very easy for him to say that around then. But
but it's point proved.
Ranick's comments were correct when he said this is open heart surgery, and we've said this multiple times. People keep saying, "Oh, Ranick, 6 months was their worst coach ever." This, that. He wasn't brought in.
In my opinion, when Ranick came in, he exposed everything that was going on at Manchester United.
That was his job, though. That was his job. He was literally brought in almost like, we want you to consult for us for 2 years, but be in the job for 6 months, hold the fort, because we've sacked off the season, get top 4 if you can, but do a proper analysis of what's going on here.
They should never have They should never have asked Ten Hag, "Do you want to keep this guy?" They should never have gave him the option. They should have said, "He is staying for this reason. If you don't like it, then that's on you."
But the thing is, I wonder if the board didn't like Ranick anymore because he was coming out in press conferences and the media coverage. People in the media were always saying like, "Oh, I don't like Ranick when he did that," or "I don't like this." I'm fed up with pundits in the media, former United players who come out with their big voices and talk about how like you brought a director of football in to manage for 6 months. That's not what his role was. And when he stepped down into coaching roles for like Leipzig, for example, in 2019, was it?
17 and 2019.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't bad. It was good. We saw loads of leaks that season. We didn't need an all or nothing documentary. We got the script from leaks that season. He went into that dressing room and told those players, "You ain't as good as you think you are. Some of you, you're not good enough."
Told them the truth. They just can't take it.
He called it how he saw it, and
it's going back to what we've been saying in the last few. Like, that's the problem with Manchester United, is the amount of egos in that dressing room and the arrogancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Nathan, you're on the outside, almost as a neutral on this. I mean, I think the news. I think everyone's been reactionary simply because of the fact that there was the chance the Glazers to go.
Yeah,
they've not gone, and then you've got those people who thought we were actually going to sign Mbappe if the Qataris came in, without all this sense of realism when you think about it. What do you make of obviously this?
I think there's two perspectives that you've got to take from it. First of all, going with the Qataris and or the Saudis, whatever, whoever comes in, you got to look at it from this way. If they come in, there's going to straight away with certain aspects of your fan base, and I will loosely put in quotation marks, some members of the fan base. And I don't care whatever I say. I will say it as it is. You are not going to get these Galacticos or world class players coming in straight away. It is complete lunacy. Look at what's happening up in Newcastle. They're taking the slow and steady and build it properly approach and sustain it for the future. I mean, comes in straight away. No, they don't go for your Mbappe, who is just completely ridiculous that he's even in the question that he's going to sign for Newcastle. You bring in your Chris Woods. You bring in, and it's a phenomenal signing, your Kieran Trippier's. You bring in your players that are going to sustain the structure and build it through slowly that way. Champions League, phenomenal achievement in pretty much the first full season. Like, that was completely off the cards at the start of the table. They just thought, right, let's just push up a little bit. Let's build it slowly, considering how bad it has been all these years. I mean, look at it with Manchester United perspective. The Qataris or whatever taking over this weekend and not approving the deal, it's bad. You can moan about it. However, look at it from the outside, which I think is an aspect that some fans aren't looking at it, but at the same time, they may be sort of toying with it.
Mm-hmm.
If the Glazers don't accept an offer of that magnitude, then are they ever going to really want to sell? Because at the end of the day, look at the position they're in. Manchester United in managed decline off the pitch. Spend pretty much burning money that technically you can look at it as not putting in because of the amount of money that is coming in from Manchester United. They're not breaching any FFP because of the incomings. They don't even have to worry about, say, for example, let's put 300 million in and risk it all for like an Mbappe who probably wouldn't even come, or just demolishing the whole squad and starting again. You don't have to worry about it because of the amount of money that's coming in. If you did it to a team further down the table, say for, I don't know, Burnley, put in the same amount of money because they don't have the same incomings with FFP. They will get completely annihilated with points deductions, relegations, fines, whatever you call it.
Exactly.
But it's like Manchester United have free reign just because of how big the club is and the amount of money that is coming in from merchandise sales, ticket sales, sponsorships. This is how lucky that the Glazers are that they've got it into this position and they took over while they did.
And fans have been buying into it for a long time for saying, we've not got XYZ to buy this player, when technically we could have bought the likes of Harry Kane or whatever in the summer. But it's like, we're just going to go for alternative options.
But the reason being,
the same money. Harry Kane costs 80 million.
Exactly. But the reason being is because of the refusal to invest any money and for the Glazers to just, what I seem to feel is that they're pocketing it. And I do think that another thing that has to be looked at it, and I'm going to bring in all of the Glazers out protests, and I know, and I actually back it, to be fair, the Norwich scarves going up, bringing in the true culture of the club.
Yeah,
I really do back that. And the thing that does drive me mental, and I will call out some certain people because everyone knows I have no filter. The Vincent Tan protests. I'm talking about the big ones in 2013-14 and before, and then the ones in 2023. You do not wear current modern day merchandise that is being sold and profiteered by that owner to their own protest, because technically by doing that, you're fueling the fire. Spending money on tickets and stuff like that is a different story because you are investing to support the team. However, doing things such as buying shirts, buying merchandise from direct club sales, and the biggest one is also buying food and beverages inside the stadium, match day programs, etc., etc., etc. If you really want them out, then you do not invest in that aspect.
Exactly.
You attend these protests and you spend the bare minimum. I don't buy into it, not buying tickets, not buying season tickets unless it gets really extreme. And I will go back by it when we had to literally bring in no blue, no renew just to force Vincent Tan's hand.
Yeah.
Stuff like that is fine, but when it gets extremely serious, with Manchester United, it's in a serious situation, but it's not extreme yet. It gets extreme when you get to say 10 billion, the Glazers still refuse to sell, and you drop down the table like a stone with major points deduction concerns, or just where you're at a point where Old Trafford is just completely not fit for purpose. That's when you get worrying. But
I agree with
at the same time, and I'm happy to even take more questions on it of what perspective I take it into. I think that now is the time to panic, but keep a lid on it.
But here's another
look
thing
at
as
it
well.
from an outside source.
Here's another thing as well. So like people have been doing this for years, saying, but he's only protesting when he's aren't winning. We were protesting when the Glazers still came into the club and we were winning. Like we protested during a Champions League game where we battered AC Milan, and the only ex-Man United player associated with the club in any shape or form that actually showed support was David Beckham on the field. The famous picture of him wearing a green and gold scarf.
We were in the we lost the league that season, but we were in between league and Champions League final appearing seasons, and we were still doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like we were dodgy decisions away from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 peating leagues, and we were still protesting.
Another thing that I will bring into that as well is another fuel that is being added to the fire. Now, both of you do not fit into this category at all. The plastic fans. And you're talking about we only support when you're winning. If we lose, then we're just going to protest forever. Or, I'm not going to bother watching.
We didn't say Neymar this. We didn't say Neymar this summer. Glazers out. That's not what it should be about.
No, it isn't. Or even another one you could compare it to is the Real Madrid we want Mbappe crybabies, the spoilt brats.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get that with every fan base. And the fact that with the likes of Manchester United, Liverpool, you're going to have it in higher numbers because of the size of the club. And these are the core fans that need to be steered away and it's big on Twitter as well with some of the shocking opinions that I've seen from certain fans on certain fan bases who you can call them not proper fans.
No, I completely
agree.
And
that's not me being controversial. That is me saying it as it is.
No, it's a fact. It's a complete fact. And even if I've never once denied that we've bought players in a
Yeah.
transfer window, but it's not the Glazers spending money. It's money coming directly from the club itself that has been
absolutely
generated
is.
year on year. It's not the Glazers' money. They're just using what the club generate and then taking whatever they want as dividends, which is wrong. But like, I want them out, even if we won the league. In the sense of it, I would still want them out because even as a team, facilities and all that, Old Trafford constantly leaking. They're not spent anything on
This
that.
is another
just get a
aspect I
paint
will
job.
take into it, right?
Campton is gone. Campton is completely far behind other clubs in the league. It says a lot when Charlie Savage, who left the club in the summer, was asked an interview about what's Old Trafford, what's the training ground facilities like at Man United. And he's like, it's not even as good as Reading's, and that's somebody who just left the club, who's got a
Reading
link
is
to the
pure
family.
trenches anyway, so
But it says a
Yeah,
lot.
that
when
club
he
is in ruin.
Yeah,
in
but it says a
comparison.
lot when he's saying that. And Campton's been open for years, but I'm like, it just shows how far it's fallen behind because they will not spend and invest on it.
But this is another thing I'll bring into it, and this is going back to my point about certain areas of the fan base, is that they will moan and say, oh, this Glazers out nonsense, that they don't get a particular player, they're not playing a particular style of play, is not great on the pitch, or they don't like the manager. Yet they will still say that Old Trafford is somehow the greatest stadium in the world. It's absolutely perfect and the facilities are phenomenal. They will be the first to say that, including like the atmosphere and best training facilities in the world and all that. Yet when they won't take a magnifying glass to it. They will just see it as a footballing perspective and whinge.
It says a lot when certain individuals have come out and spoken about behind the scenes at Man United or what it's like. Look at comments that Zlatan Ibrahimovic made. I'm pretty sure Zlatan's exact words were, when you look at Manchester, like they think they're a big club inside Manchester, but globally they're not. And this is something from somebody who had an amazing season. He literally ridiculed the club as a big club status globally, even though Man United have got a fantastic global reach. He literally said they're just a big club within Manchester. They're not a big club in general compared to like your Real Madrid when we are. But when you look at his perspective, you can see why. Mourinho still highlights second place as his greatest achievement because of what he's
with
actually
scraps.
Yeah, what he had to work with.
Especially what he's had to witness behind the scenes as well. Like, who knows what he witnessed behind the scenes that he'll never reveal unless he really got pressed on it. Ronaldo, controversial himself, but he said stuff. Rangnick said stuff. Now Charlie Savage makes one comment comparing Carrington to Reading. That's when you know that these are people who have been in the club, like not just fans, but ex-players, like ex-managers, highly respected staff in the game who have come out and said all this, and it makes you wonder, wow. And Van Gaal was the exact same. He got sacked by the media, not by the club. Like, that says even more. Like, they will do things in a cowardly fashion to get a point across. And that's not how a football club should be run.
And the thing that worries me as well with the Glazers is that if we get a bit further, and I can actually see them rejecting Sir Jim Ratcliffe's offer, unless something absolutely obscene comes to the table.
It's crazy that they
cannot see them
rejected.
accepting. It is. Because that just goes to show they don't want to sell the club and they're just there for the money and to just bleed it
Well,
dry.
I think it seems clear that what doesn't help is they value the club very highly, which helps them get more loans. And I think that one other issue is throughout the whole of this takeover, it looks like when bidding, whoever's bid, whether it's the Qataris, they've gone, all right, how about, so the market value was 3 point something billion. Here's 5. Well, if you're willing to pay 5, then I think you could stretch to about 6, 7. All right, how about 6.5? I mean, if you're willing to put 6 or, you know, and it just keeps going and going. I mean,
yeah,
there was a United fan who has a big following, and last Christmas he suggested that it could have been an 8 to 10 billion pound takeover. Now, granted, it's not happening, but the way that the bidding process went and how they kept he might have been right. If the Qataris turned around, if Sheikh Jassim turned around and went, okay, just whack 10 billion on the table, just like, let's get this over and done with, the Glazers would still have gone, well,
yeah, they're still not going to accept, because you can see it at the end of the day. If they were listening to everything that was happening within the media and with the fan base, they would want to be out like tomorrow.
They see it, but they don't care. That's what I mean. It doesn't
Exactly.
bother them because they're still taking £60 million in dividends for their loft conversion or whatever they're getting all these dividends out for. The fact of the matter is they're making all this money.
It's definitely not for like improvements to their face because he still looks like a rat.
Nah, it's too far gone by this point. Ain't no level of.
Because this is the perspective that I'm going to just go on.
I just want to say you must be a special level of greed to reject $7 billion for your business.
But that's the problem with greed. You never know when to stop.
Yeah.
There'll come a point where I think they run the club in the ground. They'll get no loan payments, no money, nothing. And it'll just get to a point where they load the club with so much debt, it gets so bad.
They are also hampered as well that next year's the year the lease on Old Trafford expires and they've just lost $7 billion. And that goes to JP Morgan.
Oh my
how
God.
the hell are you going to restructure that? Because JP Morgan are not going to take something like that. They'll literally go, you're 1.5 billion in debt plus your dividends. You've not invested into your business, and you want to try and restructure again. Nah, they've had it. This was the perfect chance for them to go 7 billion. We can share it between us. We can walk away.
I don't even think that 7 billion accounts for the extra 1.5 billion that
it just
Sheikh Jassim was willing to pay on debt. So it says it all.
They had like, even though it sounds the value is ludicrous, it was the perfect offer to take and walk away. Where you're not they aren't self-made billionaires. They got a loan to buy the club, and they've been taking money ever since to feed their own pockets to continuously value up their riches. They're not self-made billionaires. They're just genius parasites, because that is genius to actually continue to steal money in that manner, and shareholders will gladly take their dividends to do nothing. It says a lot when it's all dodgy behind the scenes, corrupt, and the fans are hurt by all, because you hurt the fans for this.
Yeah. This leads on to the next topic. And we were originally going to use journalism, but I decided to change it to the media for this.
Well, it was technically my idea, so don't knock it.
It was a brilliant idea from Reece that we were going to do last week, but we didn't get an opportunity to. So we decided to fill it in for this week. But I decided to add the media into this because it's not just journalists; it's big names in the fan base, in the United fan base, for example, who monetize themselves off the failings of United, almost how toxic the fan base is and stuff, and they become a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the question we're putting out, obviously, is the media misleading fans by saying the club environment is toxic? Because we're seeing journalists every week come out with, for example, we saw it a couple of weeks ago before the Brentford game, where journalists came out and they were saying about how the club feels very toxic on the inside. Nathan, I'll come to you first. As a Cardiff City fan, obviously, you've seen some pure trenches over the years. So what's your opinion on club environments, toxicity, and how the media latches upon it?
So pretty much, as we've seen it with the media in the past, and in particular, I'd say in the last 5 to 10 years, any source, you never see the positives come through, especially in the sporting world. But if there's one thing that is like a bit sus, you could say, the media will go into it and just absolutely elevate it to hell.
Yeah.
Which among club fan bases, etc., 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 that's the reason it makes it toxic. But there's another thing that I would like to bring into it: untrusted sources.
Yeah.
People,
100%.
in particular, the way that Twitter is, and also certain fans of the fan base, people who just believe everything. That's another thing that absolutely elevates it a lot. Now, if anyone knows sort of Cardiff City media, you have obviously Wales Online, which I won't go into detail. I have my reservations against them. But, however, they will have... There's a few Cardiff City specified journalists there who will be there every press conference, have contacts within the club. They will release the information, and those are the ones to be trusted. Then you've also got the fan forums, and in particular, there are some that are actually run by club shareholders. and people who have beings in the club, and they will actually put through proper information. And then you just have sort of these random ones that'll pop out of nowhere going, oh, this news is going to come out, this news, not provide a source. And then people will be like, oh, that's a big negative. Let's just blow that up on Twitter. And I think within the last couple of years, and I know you guys have probably seen it with Manchester United as well, but
numerous times.
Absolutely. This is what causes the toxicity, not... I mean, the mainstream can do it, and you can bring certain pundits into it as well, who will just latch onto a club and just absolutely tarnish it and just go for it and have agendas against certain stuff. I mean, that's the thing, you've got to look at it. No one's impartial on earth. You will never find that. Everyone will have some bias towards someone, something, and it's massive in football. Everyone will have bias towards certain clubs. Like, look at me, how many teams that I cannot stand, and I will have certain agendas against. But then again, what's to say that leave your bias at the door as you walk in? That doesn't exist. And it'll never exist. The only way, and that statement right there is absolutely true.
Yeah, I think, I mean, one thing I will say is that, do you gentlemen remember the show they used to do on Sky Sports a few years back called Sunday Supplement?
Yes.
You know, and they used to have different journalists. Granted, you get the likes of Neil Custers who don't produce great level of journalism, and then you get the Henry Winters of the world. But then there was a gentleman on there, bearded bloke, I think his name was like Martin Samuel, I think it was. And one thing he literally said was, you write about United, you get readers.
Yeah.
Manchester United gets clicks. It's the same anywhere in the media, whether it's newspapers, whether it's TalkSport, whether it's fan channels. Everywhere you go, if you say something about United, you can get your clicks. If it's something dodgy, if it's something bad, if it's something good. It's very easy to have an agenda against United. And
this is one thing that I will bring in as well. AFTV, and I am going to mention names here. What is the main reason that they got as successful as they did?
Latching on to the insane issues that were happening.
It's almost accidental, but the fact of the matter is, it's how they got so popular, because you get those reactionary, like very angry shouts, rants into a camera. Like, there are Man United fans who are regular match goers who detest these kind of fan cams because of almost what they bring, what they produce. And over the last 10 years, we've seen a lot of these channels, not just at Arsenal, not just at United, but they become like, you get clicks and popularity based on shouting into a camera.
Exactly. And actually saying that as well, this is another perspective you've got to look at it. And I'm going to bring in my own channel here, right? Out of my 4 most popular videos, how many are victories? Correct.
Cardiff don't win a lot, to be fair, before this season.
That is true. So, one video, these are the 2 that I will compare. One is coming up to just over, it is over a year old, nearly 2 years old now. And then the other one is 4 weeks old. One of them is a loss and one of them is a victory. You can imagine that the one 4 weeks ago is a victory. I'm talking about the South Wales Derby vlogs here. The one where Mick McCarthy just absolutely ruined it back in 21-22. 16,000 views, where we got destroyed 3-0. The one 4 weeks ago has only got 4,000 views. Now, if that doesn't show you that fans love negativity over positivity and just banter and people absolutely crucifying things into a camera, that just says it in a nutshell. Like another one that I'll bring in, when Wales go to Qatar, pretty much the same age as the South Wales Derby vlog where we got destroyed. 6.5k views, 16k views. Another one, 2 Bristol City vlogs. One has got 8.5k views where we get destroyed, and another one has got 8k views now, 7.9k.
Yeah,
and both of the thumbnails have Cardiff fans congregating a bus.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's so well adjusted that they can thrive off negativity and they can make so much money from it because they know it gets responses, it gets views.
I know, and I'm prone to it myself. I am absolutely prone to it.
Oh yeah.
Like I will run through like 6 videos in a row. So the most viewed one has a picture of Swansea fans on a roundabout. Most viewed number 2, fans crowding a bus. Cardiff fans, the Bristol City bus to be precise. Video number 3, which is obviously the 3-2 from earlier this year. Smoke bomb in the concourse as the thumbnail. Video number 4, people crowding buses again. Video number 5, smoke bombs on the pitch. And then it takes you like between 6 and 8 videos. The number 7 I won't obviously name for sensitive reasons. And that was a certain one that happened 4 years ago against Bournemouth, which I won't bring into. But it takes you like between 6 and 8 videos to get 2 normal thumbnails. I mean, if that isn't spin doctoring and forcing clicks, then I don't know what is. And I am immune to it myself. And at the end of the day, it just reinforces it.
Yeah, I think it varies though. I think it varies from a perspective of like, you get some people who will genuinely say some outrageous things.
Yeah.
Like there was a United fan a few months back who, I won't name him, but given that United's tradition has been about like giving young players a chance and stuff, and he basically said that you might as well be Glazers in if you wanted youth players to get a chance. And from that, like, he got all the tweets he needed, all the comments, all the likes. Maybe he didn't plan for it as such to have that kind of reaction, if you know what I mean. But he did say that ridiculously on a clip.
We did.
Getting clipped up. And it's very easy to do that in this day and age. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, from a business point of view, I can sit here and say, fair play. You've almost made a living and monetized of just talking some random like rubbish into a camera.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like some of the things you're saying is bad. And it's almost ridiculous, but it's the world we live in, annoyingly. And there's nothing we can do about that, sadly.
Yep.
Well said.
The problem is journalists, like Reece, you mentioned it, the media sacked Van Gaal.
Yeah, of course it did.
So the media does this to people. Like, do you remember how many leaks we got a couple seasons ago? The leaks in that dressing room is ridiculous.
Too many. Too many.
It's ridiculous. Like I've already said, we didn't need a documentary. We saw the script for it from all those leaks.
They're too afraid. The ones as well as that they're too afraid to name who they're getting the source from because they know if they're within the club they'll get terminated. But I'm like, you should call them out anyway.
Yeah, I would assume so as well. But I think when you've got a source for such like information that's going to get you the reads, I think you're not going to jeopardize that in any way.
If it's a footballer who's making leaks about the football club they're employed about and they started announcing things, I would have announced who they were and be like, well, this person's done it. I don't care if it destroys their career. Say, for example, if it was like people were saying, oh, Dean Henderson was the leak at United for some time. That's just people going by it. But what if it generally was him? Like whoever was in it, like with him as a journalist should have just said it. It was this person that told me X, Y, Z. Come out and just fucking ruin them. I don't care if it ruins their career. Like if it's a footballer who's wanting to come out and make leaks about a football club for certain reasons, have the balls to at least announce your source. In that sense, if it's someone else who can't be named, then completely understandable. But if it's a footballer who's announcing shit from within a football club they are paid to play for, then they're ones you can't be trusted around. It sets fans up as well. For fans are like, well, you've proven exactly why we thought you were a leak, because you're leaking all this stuff. Test it once and for all. So I hate the players that get away with it.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is, I think it's that the media are misleading fans.
Oh, massively.
With their toxicity. People like negative reports, right? No one's going to read it if it's like, oh, everything's happy and dandy, everything's going well. Yeah. But when you see it's all gossip, it's all drama. Do you know what I mean? Everyone reads that. And I think sometimes we can't help it. because it's
I like something.
interesting.
I like a mix. I like something negative to read, so I can try and find a positive out of it. But I also like a positive because I could find a negative straight away. I like
This is how journalism, prevails.
media.
This is how it's
Exactly.
done. This is
We've
how the
said on here,
media latches onto it.
we've said on here before. There's what the very common example of misleading is. We've said before is when it comes to black players, and whether you like him or not, he can be hot and cold at times. When it comes to like Marcus Rashford, for example, where he was out shopping in his car or something, like he's worked for the money. He's got that. He's bought that car and he goes
But
shopping.
it's
The Daily
about
Record go,
what car and how much it costs or whatever. I
yeah,
mean, whenever I see that,
like, who gives a fuck? Like, that's
Exactly.
it's huge. Yeah, it's huge if
Or-
true. Do you know what I mean? Like, no,
I'm like,
do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
like they'll do anything just to tarnish a footballer for the wrong reasons. But when it's actually the defender player, they don't. They'll go in any shape or form just to destroy. The English media is the worst for it. It is the worst for it. It will destroy
Absolutely.
any given because people are brainwashed by the media.
They are. And
Easily
this is
brainwashed.
another thing that we've mentioned loads before as well that you got to bring into it. With, in particular, the England national team, the reason that they are so hated is because of the English media. If the English media didn't exist and it was just like, say, for example, the Welsh media, or it could be another one, the Dutch media or something like that,
Or a
then
like-minded
maybe
fan.
they could, exactly, they could be a quite like team. And it makes me even sick saying that, considering
No,
what
there
the
wouldn't be
situation
this
is at the moment.
entitlement, this English arrogance that's always prevailed. Everything, everyone, every tournament, all the players and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Our clubs are
Look
being
at German
successful in this league
Look at German
because
media.
we're importing footballers from other
Yeah.
countries to play for our clubs, but with better cultures out there.
And I think this is
Absolutely.
adding fuel to the fire as well. Another topic we've gone on before is about like ITV and stuff. You'll have a perfectly good game. Let's say, for example, Italy Netherlands. That is an absolutely fantastic game. But hang on a minute. At half time for 10 minutes, we need to talk about England, which isn't even relevant to this group that, say, for example, is in the Euros, or B, that is just not relevant to the game at all.
Yeah, it's
Like that just goes to show it.
It's almost like we've got to get the mentions because that's where we've got paid. It's like, no, you get paid to talk about the teams that are actually on, that are being watched globally on TV on that channel. So you report it. Even if it's two crappy teams, you're paid to talk on them. You talk about them. Who cares if England are training in fucking some area off Port Moscow? Like, who gives a fuck? Like, we don't care about that. Or John Stones is beating this person who finds a carrot. None of us care about that. We care about the actual reporting of the football properly, and it's actually being discussed. Not
this is another two that I will bring in as well about them, just to sort of inflame it even more of them not helping. One of them is when we played England. I think it was in a friendly back in about 2011, 2012 at Wembley. ITV were using all of the England overlays for the game.
Yeah,
the intro was an England badge, yet the game was being played in Wales. Not in Wales, but the physical coverage was being played in Wales.
One thing that pissed me
How disgraceful is that?
One thing that pissed me off in the Euros was Ferdinand's treatment of England. Ferdinand's treatment of Scotland against England when he's like, "This is just an easy win for us. Like this is an easy win. Like we go out there, we're going to smash them." Showed us no respect at all. You couldn't have barn door, mate. But I'm like, he's another one. Like as a football player from my head, love Ferdinand. As a pundit, hate him. He's one of the worst. He's up there with Michael Owen and Jermaine Genius. Absolute clown.
Exactly. Another one I will bring in as well, and I'd like a screen share on this, is probably the most arrogant tweet from any media outlet. And in fact, is there a way that I'm not even going to give them the time of day?
There's a United fan who's quite mainstream in the media, who's currently trending on Twitter. Even with all the Brussels news, he's still trending for some reason. I'm not sure as to why, but it's ridiculous.
Please tell me it's not who I think it is. Let's have a look. No. Oh, hello, Piers Morgan. Cristiano Ronaldo, Brussels, Summer of Soul, Jimmy Carr, we stand with Max Rui, hashtag Israel, Gaza war, Romeo Lavia, resign, Gaza attack, Paul and Olivia, Haaland and Mbappe, Super Eagles, and the Patriots at Raiders.
I'm going to pop it in a minute, but
that's my trends, by the way. I don't know who you're talking about, but that's my trends.
In my opinion, this is the most disgraceful tweet of all time, and this was back by an English media organisation back in 2011.
When it wants to, of course.
I just want your guys' opinion on this, and if this links in. And for anyone who's listening on Spotify, just going to read it for you now. Wales are now ranked below the Faroe Islands in 112th place in the latest FIFA rankings. Mental to think about, but this was back in 2011, by the way. Meaning that they'll be bottom pot of seeds for this Saturday's 2014 World Cup draw. With the GB Olympic football team debate still going strong, wasn't at the time completely fake news, is it time for Wales to admit that they will never qualify for a major tournament and pool resources with England and Scotland?
Jesus Christ.
That's just wrong.
The media eats that up. They take stuff like that. They will take something and twist it.
That is just wrong.
I'm not even going to name any other examples, just because there are so many examples in the world of football. That
you look at other media though, like the German media do not do that to their team. If anything, they say like where the issues are and where you can fix it, but they don't completely overly hype their squad.
And in fact, I'm going to put it in a private chat because I'm not even going to lie today. This was the media organisation.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
On their Twitter, not some retweet. That was an actual tweet that they put out.
That doesn't surprise me. They're always pulling up some really controversial stuff for clicks and stuff.
Yeah, that lot they're just scummy.
Now, I think we've answered that fairly, gents.
I think so.
Our last topic of the evening, I'm going to give to you, Reece.
Okay.
Rangers have made an appointment in the midst of this little divorce take me back thing Mickey Beale is doing to QPR. Rangers have hired a new manager.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on that, because even though from what I've seen on Twitter, the Monaco fans are laughing about it, I don't know. I think when you look at his credentials on paper, it looks like a good appointment.
Yeah, I think it's a wise one. I said it before we went live that it's not Postecoglou-esque of an unknown, but it's Postecoglou in terms of like a manager who plays good football and wins. Philippe Clement has won trophies in Belgium. He won a three-peat. He's won trophies with two different clubs. Recognised attacking style of play. Went to Monaco. Finished sixth for a Monaco team that isn't particularly that good. And Monaco fans are showing no respect to him. I think when you look at it, it's good that they've reacted quickly during international break. I did mention that I think Stephen Davis would get up to international break and then he'd be replaced by a permanent manager. They've done that. I'm impressed. My main thing is I've only watched a handful of games. I haven't watched a lot, but what I will say is this guy's got European pedigree. The clubs he's won trophies with have played in Europe. That is definitely important. But also when you come in, you're saying we're going to play good attacking football. And it's going to be attacking football with the emphasis on attacking teams and looking to dominate the game and actually look to create chances and score goals. That gives me confidence in somebody who is like, there was pictures of him as well when he was on a flight, him and his assistant. They were on a flight to Glasgow and he's watching the recent games against St Mirren. He's actually watching the games online, reviewing the whole game. And I'm like, this is a guy who clearly is actually interested in this team. He wants to take a place. That's somebody who's like, I'm actually studying my players to see what I've got, what I need to work with. I can identify how they fit into my team, where they can, where they can't. How can I make that certain? I'm like, that's what you want from a manager, somebody who's completely invested. I'm eager to see how he gets on. I'm glad it's not Kevin Muscat. Like, I don't think that would be the right choice just because he's managed over in Japan and Australia. I don't think that's the right call. They went for a pedigree manager that knows how to win with good football. and he will look to get the team working well. I'm happy with it. I'm happy. I think it's a good start. And he's got a chance as well to win a trophy. Like very early on, if he gets past Hearts in the semi-finals, it'll be either Hibs or Aberdeen in the final. I like it. I think he's got a chance to put real pressure on Celtic, force pressure on them, see how they fare. It'll be interesting to see where he goes, especially with the Europa League as well to come. I'm very, very interested, put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm very
I
excited.
think
I
so.
will be watching, even as a Celtic fan, I'll be watching this very carefully because looking at from it objectively, it's a very interesting appointment. And I agree with all the points that you've put on there. I think, Nathan, you in the same boat as me on that one?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a very safe and smart appointment, especially from the appointment of Mick Beale, which did just absolutely drag everything down and capitulate. I mean, you
He is
guys
a
weren't
young
going
manager
anywhere
as well.
close under it.
I forgot to mention as well, he's a young manager. He turns
He is.
50 in March. He's 50 in March. That's young.
Time is on this side.
For football
Absolutely.
standards at the moment, it is. And I still find it absolutely hilarious. I've got to add it in that Mick Beale wants his job back at QPR. I mean, the man has absolutely no loyalty at all, does he? I mean, how quickly is he going to be out of that job or just sink QPR even lower down the championship and in some absolute miracle, which could probably manage, make him worse than Sheffield Wednesday?
Exactly.
Well, I don't even know how that's possible, but Mick Beale could do it.
This is what gives me good confidence with this guy, right? In terms of record, so this goes from as a manager when he took over the interim run for Club Brugge in 2012 up till now. So 4th of November to the 15th of November 2012, 2 games, drew 1, lost 1, so he's got a win percentage of 0. He took over again for a day, won the game, 100% record. He went to Vasslan Beveren from July until December of 2017. 22 games played, 9 wins, 5 draws, 8 defeats, 40.9%. Not particularly great. Went to Genk, 2 years, 82 matches, 47 wins, 21 draws, 14 defeats, 57.3%. Club Brugge, 3 years, 129 matches played, 71 wins, 33 draws, 25 defeats. That's a 55% win percentage. In Monaco, where he was there for a year and a half, 76 matches, 39 games won, 18 draws, 19 defeats, 51.3%. That's 312 matches, 167 wins, 78 draws, 67 defeats, 53.5% win percentage over a period of 11 years as a manager. Full-time manager, 6 years. It's not bad. His honours that he's won, Belgian Cup with Genk, that was a player. In terms as a manager with Club Brugge, he won 2 first divisions. Oh, but these are his. That's just his man. That's just as a player. Sorry, he won the league with Genk as a manager in 18-19. Then he won to carry on his freebie. This is moving to Club Brugge. He won the league back to back in 1920, 2021, and he won the Super Cup in 2021. Doesn't scream a lot of honours, but the fact that he won 3 league titles in a row with 2 clubs back to back is impressive.
That's very good.
And it's a good record as well as a manager for 6 years. But like that's not so bad. I like what I'm seeing, but obviously I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I don't know an awful lot. But I do like the fact that he is coming in and he will start working immediately post international break. That just screams confidence that he's ready to go. And he's going from Monaco to this. Like, that is impressive. He's going from one European club to another straight away. I'm like, that's when you know this guy's invested. And if he says he wants to play this style of football, then it really will have alarm bells where you're thinking, hold on, let's see what he does.
Let him cook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. At least it's not Lampard or Graham Potter.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a smart appointment. And on that, I think it's time we wrap it up, gentlemen. Reece, what's happening this Sunday?
Yes.
You forgot for a moment, didn't you?
No, I didn't forget. It is the quiz this Sunday. So I'm going to throw out to who will we get on? We need to get you guys to invite it because I've got the stream next Monday as well. That's going to be
You
fun.
do.
So I can write the quiz, but I'm going to need you guys to invite people. I'll let you guys do the inviting whilst I prepare the quiz because I don't want to know who's coming on. I want to make it that much harder where I have to pretty much assume.
Oh, we can make it a surprise easy.
Just make sure
We'll
that
try.
actually people that want to get involved.
Me and Nathan will collude behind the scenes. Don't worry.
As long as people that genuinely want to come on and they do come on, then I'm good. But yeah. It is. The quiz is on Sunday.
No worries. Everyone feel free to come in and join in the chat. We won't be able to see the comment section. Reece will hide it from us. So feel free to answer your questions, and Reece will count your scores as well. So you're competing just as much as we are. The difference is you're laughing at us behind the scenes.
Absolutely. I am too.
So yeah, thank you for watching this evening or listening. Hope you all have a good rest of your week. We'll see you again very soon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And in the description on our YouTube, you can find us there. You find us at the World of Football Podcast. You can find Reece at Devil's Rising. He also has the Weekly Steel Chair. You got Nathan, his tag's there, mine's also here as well. So from all of us at the World of Football Podcast, have a good night.
Live on YouTube. And listen back on Spotify. This is the World of Football Podcast.